they start to suspect that these accusers are suffering from a hysteria. But as a result, everyone was forced to take a position. And I think every American saw the results of this. People lost lifelong friends and families were kind of destroyed and had some degree of falling out over this man. And it gave us crazy stuff like celebrity meltdowns and former
Mm,
presidents from both parties who before
yeah.
presented as enemies suddenly doing anti-Trump ads together.
Yeah.
And while this might be negative, the flip side is I also see thousands of more young people paying attention to things like special counsels, cabinet appointments, congressional hearings. All that old C-SPAN noise is now front and center. And people like you took to the airwaves, sides of the aisle, and people found their voice. Millions more people tuned in to argue and listen, and
Hmm.
people are starting to come to the light. So my take is that whether intentional or not, Trump's presence is disruptive. The reaction to him and his popularity kind of tore the curtain off this political
Yeah.
machine and revealed its true nature, right?
Hmm.
We learned that outside of a career in politics, no common man can ever take high office without billions of dollars, teams of lawyers, fame,
Hmm.
and the
Yeah.
will to survive, mockery, attempts on your life.
Hmm.
And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that because of Trump, millions of people from all part of this political spectrum are learning that the system is out of touch and it doesn't represent them. And I
Yeah.
maintain without him, this wouldn't have happened so quickly. So whether you love him or hate him,
Yeah.
regardless of his policy, I think Trump was exactly what we needed to expose our flaws and wake us up out of our slumber. And I don't think it could have come in a better time. And what are your thoughts?
Um, well, I can tell you that I'm a byproduct of a little bit of what you're saying. I made a mistake in 2016. While I didn't vote for Donald Trump, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton either. Why? I'm not a Clinton fan. A lot of the stuff I've said about Donald Trump and accusations I've said about Bill Clinton, I don't like Hillary Clinton. I don't think, I think she's probably overqualified for the job, but I didn't like her. I don't think she's very likable, right? And I had no idea the monster that Donald Trump would turn out to be, in my opinion. He's very divisive. And I believe, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, even during the George W. Bush days, Republicans and Democrats were at least able to have discussions with one another. That's why, listen, I appreciate these talks.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to do that. And I feel like we've lost that. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I'm pretty aggressive on my show. Like I said, I'm not a professional debater. I debated Rachel Wilson the other day, and they had me there as the villain. I've never debated anybody on feminism. I'm not even a feminist. I told them that. Yet they paid me to go out there. They paid me pretty well. They paid for my flight. They paid for my hotel to debate on a topic I didn't want to debate. I'm not even a professional debater. So let me give you an example of what you're talking about from a debating standpoint. And I'm going to bring
Mm-hmm.
Andrew and Rachel Wilson into this. In my opinion, their plight is just to win debates. That's all they care about. How do you win a debate? I don't believe they're serious, like some of you, I believe, are serious about coming up with solutions to solve problems in this country. And when you walk into a space like that, you realize, okay, I'm just here to be the villain. I'm just here so they can poke the bear. Okay, I'll just make my money and go home. And then I said to myself, okay, it's fine. But where does that get us in society? I have more people on the right on
Nope.
my
Did he
show.
freeze or was that just me?
Oh, am I still up?
Oh, there you are. Okay,
Yeah.
you're back. You're good.
I have more people on the right on my show than the left. I debate, not even really debate. It's more interviews. Sometimes it turns into disagreements and discussions. I think that's healthy. You want to know what I think Donald Trump has done? And I know there's a lot of people on this panel that are going to disagree with what I'm about to say. If Donald Trump really exposed something in this country, he exposed ill-informed, ignorant people. And I'm not saying everybody that voted for Donald Trump is ignorant. I would never make a generalization like that. And he also gave people a comfortability, for lack of a better term, in their bigotry. So I think we're more divided in this country than we've ever been in my lifetime. I'm 46 years old. I think we're more divided racially. So I certainly would give him credit for that. I don't think that's a good thing. But I didn't know a lot about Donald Trump in 2016. I saw a very tame Donald Trump go into the White House when Barack Obama was still in office. And I was like, okay, maybe this is going to work out. He was very cordial. He was respectful to Barack Obama. Everything changed since that day. And I was wrong. And if I had to go back in time, not that I'm a huge Hillary person, I would have voted for her. Did he expose a lot of things in this country? You're damn right he did. We're very divided now. I hate where we're at in this country right now. But I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a really good question, too. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Whisper. And Lucy or Lucci, I'm not sure which one it is. I apologize if either way I said it wrong, comes over as well from the Politics Discord server. Again, that link is being dropped in the chat and is available. You should go get in there now if you enjoy debate. But Looney, your question, please, darling. You do have to unmute, by the way. Looney, are you with us? All right, maybe Looney fell asleep. Effigy, I'll go ahead and move on to you if you have a question for Brian. Effigy is a regular panelist here at the Raging Tomato. Effigy, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. You're muted, Effigy.
Sorry, I never mute StreamYard. Yeah, I don't have really much to go into with Brian. It's good to see you here, Brian. Great content. I'll always love to see you debating people.
Appreciate it.
I'll just hit on a few things, then pass it on because I think the right wingers have a lot more interest in this section. So I'll just say a few things. So the only thing that Trump exposed was that most people on the right espouse their morals and don't fucking follow them. If you want to talk about people calling Trump fascist, his own ex-chief of staff did. His former generals have. He almost got his vice president killed. Most of his previous staff didn't even support him for re-election, including his vice president. If you poll Republicans today, they'll say that character doesn't matter. But that's really crazy considering the last two Democratic presidents are the only fucking presidents in the last 80 years who have had zero indictments of their officials. The only presidencies. So it's funny that all of a sudden none of that matters, yet you're still going to call us the corrupt ones when we're the ones mostly fucking following the rules. And lastly, I'll just say, if anyone thinks that anti-DEI isn't just a reassertion of bigotry, just look at what the right-wing court just did to the Voting Rights Act. If I had one question for Brian, my only question would be, Brian, how much alcohol does one have to drink to not go insane debating Rachel Wilson?
That's a really good question. Mental health is a big part of what I do. And I got to be honest with everybody here. I try to be as honest as I can. I struggle with that sometimes. My job is extremely stressful. Listen, I wouldn't have it any other way. I get to talk to great people like you and Sarah and everyone's been so great and respectful here. And I really do appreciate that. But my job is extremely stressful because I have to watch the news every day. I can't. Everyone tell Brian, you got to take a vacation. You got to tune out. You think if I take a vacation, I just stop watching the news? No, I have editors who edit my videos. I have to follow the news every day. I have to talk about horrible shit every single day. People are like, Brian, why do you always talk about Donald Trump? He's the president of the United States. I do a news talk show. Like, I'm not a live streamer like an Andrew Wilson or these people or even Destiny. And I like Destiny, but I don't just press a button and talk. I have to play audio. What did Caroline Leavitt just say in her press conference? Did Donald Trump just say something batshit? I mean, I got to cover the news every day, so it's hard. Mentally, it's difficult. I enjoy it when I'm on the air, but everything outside of it, I don't enjoy. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough to be able to have to separate. I mean, again, I'll be honest with you. I don't think I've ever said this publicly. I did a debate with Tim Pool live in DC with Myron Gaines. And at the time I was dating somebody who voted for Donald Trump 3 times and they just couldn't believe it. But I would be lying to all of you if I said it hasn't affected our relationship, because it did. And I wish that wasn't the case, right? I wish it wasn't the case. But it does affect my personal life. And I wish it didn't. It's a stressful job. It's a difficult job. But if you spend all day on this thing called the cell phone, and if you're on Twitter all day, you're not going to have very good mental health, and you're going to turn into a lunatic. And quite frankly, sometimes I do turn into a lunatic. So it's good to get away from the politics. And it's why I'm talking about doing a weekly sports show. on
Ooh.
top of what I already do with some friends of mine, and getting that going to help with the mental health, because it's a very difficult thing to do every single day, because the news is so crazy every day, as all of you guys know, whether you agree or disagree.
Agreeable. Effigy, I'm assuming that was the end of your question, since you didn't have much else. If so, I'll just go ahead and move on to
Yeah, go
Uncle.
ahead.
Thank you, Effigy.
Thank you.
Uncle Fatty, thank you so much. We see you around these parts every once in a while. Glad to see you here. What is your question for Brian?
Didn't realize you're going to have all these mushroom gobblers up around here, did you?
He's going by, that's actually funny. He's going by a statement that I make sometimes when I mess around. I think anybody knows when people call into my show and I fuck with them, that's part of the entertainment value of my show. I do use the term Trump mushroom gobbler, but to be honest with you, all you guys are pretty cool by my standards. So no, I don't think you're a Trump mushroom gobbler, Uncle Fatty.
Very, very respectful conversation tonight. And, it's good to see the new Brian. I think your New Year's resolution has very paid off, bro. You're calm, and you're not spurging 100% of the time. 90% is fine. And this is the 10% where you're not. We appreciate it.
Uncle Fatty, the truth of the matter is, and I appreciate you saying that, I treat people the way they treat me, my man.
Yeah, man.
Everyone here has been that's like my mom taught me that at a young age, right? If somebody's going to call me names, then, some people would say, Brian, show some class.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. For real though, mental health is, it's a big deal. I think everybody in America, worldwide, is dealing with this shit right now, and finding a place to escape and get some downtime away from the shit. Because really, I see it like this. I'm an old school Ross Perot guy, right?
Oh, wow.
I wrote in Ross Perot for Obama. I wrote in Ross Perot for the first year of Trump. And then I decided to make the conscious decision to vote against Trump. Because really, I'm not voting for anybody.
Right.
I look at it like this, and I think you could possibly agree. I've kind of made this statement a couple times on your show. We don't vote for what we want. We vote against what scares us the most.
Mm-hmm.
And the Republicans have the better fear game.
Agree. 100%.
It comes down to one thing. You scare your people, your
eating cats and the dogs. I agree.
And it's this ideological politics of pick a team, and you're either on our team or you're not. Yeah. And if you're not on our team, well, by God, then you're against us. And how many times has Donald Trump made statements like, they're coming for your God and they want you dead?
Yeah. Yep.
The amount of brainwashing that's going on in America is fucking scary.
You're right.
It's really scary to me. I'm from North Idaho. I grew up around a lot of kind of real hardcore right wingers, you could say, that boot stepped and cosplayed and flew swastika flags a lot, and kind of hung out at that church up there for a while too.
Yeah,
and
heard people from the pulpit preaching hatred.
Uncle Fatty, did you have a question built into that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When it comes to the world and kind of what's going on with this whole us versus them and not being able to take responsibility for our own actions.
Yeah.
Would you say that Roy Cohn tactics had anything to do with that?
Perhaps. It's interesting you say that, because when we talk about humanity and responsibility, I think that's one of the most important qualities in a human being, is to admit when you're wrong, right? Say, hey, you know what? I fucked up. I'm sorry.
Thing in the world.
I made a mistake in that debate the other day where, and you guys could tell me if you disagree or not. I don't even really want to say the word, because quite frankly, it makes me uncomfortable. But Rachel Wilson had said, if you're an atheist, you're all starting with an R word, a special needs child. I think you know the word. And I got so caught up in the emotions of it, because I was so shocked that she said, because we don't believe in Christianity, we're all this. And then I called her that, and I stooped to her level, and I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that, because I don't like using that word. I've never used that word on the radio. I don't think publicly. I can't remember ever using that word. And I couldn't believe she made that statement. And I got so angry, but it's important to take responsibility and say, yeah, I shouldn't have done that either. I shouldn't have used that word. Has Donald Trump ever apologized for anything? I feel like Larry David. I apologize to people every fucking day. Hey, I'm sorry I did this. I'm sorry I called you a mushroom gobbler or whatever. Like I, I have no problem taking responsibility and admitting I'm wrong. I certainly don't apologize to the Wilsons for anything I've ever said to them in DMs. They've said some horrible things about me. And I just think they're really bad people. So there's certain things where I'll say, no, I said some horrible things to them too. I don't apologize, but I shouldn't have used that word because it's offensive to people, and for people that have special needs, kids, it's wrong. But I just couldn't believe she used that word. And listen, I have to do a better job of controlling my emotions, in situations like that. But yeah, I guess to end my long answer, sorry to be so long-winded, but one of the best qualities in a human being is to own it and admit you're wrong. And there's not many Trump supporters. There are some, but not enough that are willing to admit that right now.
Straight up.
Thank you, Uncle Fatty. Calvin, thanks for popping on. Did you have a question for Brian, darling?
I did, and mine's going to be brief. I actually have a question for both of you. It's kind of follow up on the trans commentary. I'm largely in agreement with a lot of what Brian's disposition on Trump is, but you were talking about the trans issue, and you said you are for puberty blockers after puberty, and I looked up puberty, and puberty is like 9 to 14, according to, I guess, my immediate research. So would that be the correct age for you? And if not, why not? Go ahead.
I think this is just my personal position. Before you go through, I think it's important to me, if you're going to take all these hormones and do all these things, and I'm not a doctor, to at least wait until after you go through puberty if you still feel that way. I would be comfortable with something like that. And the statistics show there's not many people under the age of 16 that are actually getting the full-on, transgender surgery, whether it's being pushed on people or not. I know Sarah and I talked about that. I don't think it's pushed by a teacher saying it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to be gay. It's okay to be trans. And I think most of the 300,000 teachers across the country are doing that. Yes, you could always find a few radical, crazy teachers. Those teachers should be fired. Okay, nobody should be forced to do anything. Nothing sexually explicit should be taught to minors. Yes, I'm with you there. But, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, so I was more curious why you wouldn't push for like at least 18, an adult.
I guess I would be okay with 18 also. I'm not necessarily saying I'd be completely against that. But again, if you're 15 or 16 years old and you want transgender surgery and you're depressed or whatever you're going through, I want that teenager to get the mental health that they need. And then maybe when they turn 18, I'm not saying I'm against that. Perhaps I would be comfortable with that. What I don't want is members of society, and there's too many of them, particularly those on the right, that attack people for being transgender. I'm not saying you're saying that. I don't like people being attacked because they're different than you. It's my biggest issue with religion. And with this subject, whether you're transgender or gay, I don't care, right? Unless I'm dating you, I don't care what's between your legs, right? So it's like, you're asking me, would I be comfortable with 18? I think that's a fair conversation to have between Democrats and Republicans. And I don't think that's a crazy view. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I consider that that's like a major decision, like being, changing your sex or whatever. And you definitely want that person to be most, experienced or whatever. Most things, as far as society goes, a lot of things you do at 18, you can, get a tattoo, you can rent a car, do all these things because you are of at least, mature mind. So it seems like you would push for that, at least in that.
And obviously I'm not, I don't think it's good for people if they're 19 or 20 to just say, hey, I want transgender surgery, right? It doesn't happen that fast though. You have to talk to medical professionals about it. Sure. But I wouldn't be completely opposed to the 18-year-old, number. I don't think that's a crazy view. And I think that's fair.
Okay. And then just a quick question for you, Miss Sarah. You stated that you considered trans people as bad for society because like they don't want to produce impedes on production, right?
They don't want to produce what?
You consider trans people as bad for society because they don't want to produce or they can't
Oh,
produce.
reproduce. They're not able to reproduce. I mean,
Reproduce,
that's
okay.
one piece of it, right?
Okay.
That's the end of the bigger target, right? But you could run a drill of all of these other things of why this wouldn't be good, right?
Okay.
And part of that stands in that mental illness, mental health issue, right? Brian even said a lot of them would like to unalive themselves and have the mental illness issues or mental health. I say mental illness, but I don't want, it sounds bad when I say it that way, so I apologize. But I think that's the bigger crux. Like, we're seeing mental health and issues coming from it, but instead of actually treating it in a way that like that is the problem, right? That's the thing that stems from it. I think I'm this, but I am actually that, and we're instead affirming like a delusion or a fantasy world in aspect, instead of saying, no, that's not what you are, right? You may feel one way, you may feel another way, but you are not this, right?
My question actually had something differently. It had to do like, do you have that same feeling for people who are heterosexuals and who choose not to produce? Do you consider them as bad for society or as a negative to society for healthy, stable people who just choose not to have kids of their own? Do you also consider them as
Yeah, I
bad?
think that's still part of a duty for all, male and female couples. Like, what's the point of your society if you're not going to have a legacy, right? And be able to pass it down and continue society. I think that is a goal. Now, if you can't have children, I understand that, right? That's shit happens. But at the same time, I think we do have some semblance of a duty to society to be able to reproduce. If you have major mental health issues, if you have, maybe you are a diabetic and you don't want to, like, and I'm not picking on you, Brian, it was just one we pulled up earlier, but if you have something that is genetically passed down and you're fear factoring that and saying, look, like, I have this issue and it's the worst thing I've ever dealt with, I never want to pass this down, I can understand that too, of not wanting to reproduce in that aspect.
Right.
But if you're a healthy grown adult and you are capable of reproducing, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't.
And that's all.
I got a good update on my radio show. Adam Mockler doing my show Thursday. How about that? I love Adam.
Nice. Very nice. Very
Maybe
nice.
Scott Jennings will swear at him again.
Uh-huh. And Josh, welcome back, my friend. Stream Rift. Hello. Do you have a question for Brian?
Yeah, this is sort of like a fairly meta question at some level. So you don't know me very well. I know a little bit about you, Nature Being Public. I thought that event you did with Myron and everybody else, I got a real kick out of that. I think you've got good energy. I like you for the role of being a piece of this discussion. So I have some criticisms and questions that are coming from a place of saying, I love these types of discussions.
Sure.
So I've spent a lot of time in some discords. Some people at an identity level, I say, I voted for Trump three times. He won all 3 times. Their brains explode. I could say, sky is blue and grass is green. And they would just say, I can't even be in that. Like, they glitch out.
Yeah.
Now, I find this fascinating because I feel I have really strong reasons for why I might feel even stronger about maybe some of the other things that I hear. And so my question to you is sort of, right, so taking a step away from, okay, the talking points, like, I think you're wrong about the trans stuff, and I could go into details about that, and we could, but do you think that, so 2 parts. Part one, sort of your role as your job, as you put it, do you view yourself as, so for example, there's some different, you could be a catalyst for, my party's almost there, I'm getting my tribe together. You could be just a shock jock. Like, a criticism I have of Andrew Wilson is I think he likes doing verbal boxing. I'm not as much a fan of that. I like collaborative discussion, which is super boring. Like, I would love to have a conversation your viewers would find fucking boring to shit. I'd live for it, and we can't have it.
Right.
So as a constitutional conservative, just a little bit about me, just some more context. I ran for public office. I got 28% of the vote in Republican primary with a $1,500. Opponent had $100,000. I built businesses from scratch. Like, I'm a guy out there engaging. Day-to-day people generally like me, but for some reason we live in these times, we're in these ecosystems like you're in. It seems like it's just, there's 2 tribes and Orange Man bad or good. And thoughts?
Yeah. So you're asking me, like, what would I consider myself? Would it be shock jock or You know what?
What are you going for, right? Might be how people take you as. Yeah.
So here's the issue with the times we're living in today. If I just have respectful debate and conversations and interviews with people, I don't get on Pierce Morgan. I'm not on Anderson Cooper the other day. I'm not doing OAN. I hate to say it like this, but there's no way that Rachel would have been begging me to debate her for the last 6 months, which I didn't want to do. I wouldn't have been paid to do it if I wasn't a little mean.
That's the thing I noticed. I did a 1v1 with Pisco a couple of times, at least once.
Yeah,
And it's an interesting dynamic, and I learned all about there's this whole shtick to it. And I'm like, I know I don't know the rules. I wish I did.
Here's what they don't understand, though. This is a really important for all you Wilson fans out there. They don't realize the favor they're doing me. Andrew Wilson makes cartoons about me. I've been told I'm the most hated person in that community. That helps my engagement. It makes me money. It gets me gigs. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't like to use the term stupid here, but they're so ignorant that they don't even understand they're helping my product by doing it. And when I'm going to give you guys a secret, when I'm calling Rachel Wilson sloppy, or she's calling me names, and I'm giggling, I'm laughing while I'm tweeting this stuff up. I'm not serious about it. When Andrew's mocking me, when I see these cartoons, the first thing I told Andrew was, please make more. They're fucking hilarious. I showed a couple of my friends today. They were dying. But then they also said, wow, that's a little weird. A middle-aged man making cartoons about you. It is a little strange, but I welcome it. I want to be the most hated person among MAGA on Twitter. I wear that with.
Why is that though? Why? So of all of the things one could like, I like money, building things, people like cars, partners, whatever. Why are you like, I want the MAGA people to hate me?
Yeah. So here's what I would say to that. I don't want just people that agree with me to watch my show. It's why I usually don't interview Democrats. Like I'll get Adam Mockler on, I'll get Destiny on, but I would rather have Caroline Leavitt. She's done my show before. I'd rather have Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on. Why? Because it's more entertaining. I don't like it when people, I appreciate them, but when they call in and they agree with me all the time, it's boring shit. I love when I get the MAGA callers on and we go back and forth. Those are the videos that do best because I think, listen, I don't think I know. It's a form of entertainment. Now, I know that's really sad. It's really hard to get a news source that's just straight up news. It's not about entertainment. Here's what's going on to be non-biased, right? But I'm in the business of entertainment. That's really what it is. And I think there's a way to do it without hurting people.
Really?
I think Myron Gaines hurts people. Meek, what's the worst thing I'll say to somebody? I'll call them a MAGA mushroom gobbler, as Uncle Fatty.
I like that name.
Okay.
I'll say when they say I have Trump derangement syndrome, they always, I'll say they have Trump fellatio syndrome, right?
Since we're here, since I have you, and I appreciate this very much, by the way. But so Byron, so obviously he has certain views on certain things, and you seem to be like, not this guy. Like what? What
first of all, he's
different into that for you?
He's different. So Tim Pool happens to be a friend of mine, and he invited me to do. I've done his show too, but we did a live debate in DC. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Alex Stein.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it was funny, right? So I had a conversation with George Santos the night before, and George says, Brian, I think Myron is a closet homosexual. By the way, nothing wrong with that. And he's like, I want you to tell him that. And I said, why do you say that? And then he was giving me reasons why. And Myron, and the reason why I brought that up is because Myron attacks homosexuals. He uses slurs and he attacks women. He thinks women are second-class citizens. Completely different guy off the stage. Brian, I wasn't a fan. I mean, I went at him really hard, right?
No, it was great.
Really
the content was great. I was
even
doing
Tim
something in my
Pool was
office.
like,
I had it in
"Holy
the background. I was laughing the whole time.
Because I think he's two-faced and he's a phony. And we were actually, and I wanted to debate him again, and he doesn't want to do it. And because Myron only says things for money and clicks. Now, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I say things for effect, but never have I ever shared an opinion on the air about anything without being genuine. I don't think Myron is anti-Semitic. He just says things to get clicks. I don't think Myron is racist. I mean, he called me a homophobic slur because I played college tennis and I was on a scholarship. And then I found out he was a college rower. And it's just like, he says stupid stuff, you know, and I don't have a lot of respect for uncensored America. I'll be honest with you. And I don't care. They paid me. I'm not going to work with them again. And the reason why I'm not going to work with them again is because the only people that work with them are Myron Gaines and the Wilsons. I consider them bad people, not because they're Trump supporters, but because I just think they say things. The things they say about women, the dehumanization. Myron thinks that women are.
It's a tough sell to say they go all the way to dehumanization on it.
Well,
I think that there's a different structure that you reject and you want to label it a certain way, and that's fair. But I've debated on here with Sarah about whether or not women should even vote. So you and I are going to disagree on some things.
Class citizens, how is it anything other than that?
Well, we live in a gyno supremacy now. So what do you think is the way to run at that?
Well, listen, when you take an entire half the country and say that they shouldn't vote, or half the country and say that they're second class citizens, it's a horrific thing to say. It's a terrible point.
Men have been disposable through history.
Here's the difference. You ready for this? With my time seeing these people up close and personal, I don't believe Myron Gaines believes the stuff he says. I do believe the Wilsons do, because I believe Andrew Wilson is a misogynist piece of garbage. And I believe, again, all they care about is winning debates. He sells a $250 lesson on how to win a debate. Who cares who wins or loses a debate? How about having good conversation, agree to disagree? Let's try to come up with solutions together, and we could be entertaining about it. I think most people would agree. Say what you want about me. I think my debates are pretty entertaining. They usually go viral.
You're very funny.
Well,
and you have quick wit. No, like your present day. Here's my unfiltered criticism. If you were like, when you got to your most toxic, and maybe you're just doing the best you can and it's a tough environment, that's fine, no shade, could just tone it down to 30 to 70%. I'm an East Coast guy. I love the energy, right? Defend your point. Fuck those fucking fucks.
Criticism, but
then you can just drop it. Be like, fucking those guys.
But
yeah.
Every single person that was in the crowd that watched my debate was on the right, except my manager. She's a Democrat, and she was appalled. I felt so bad for her, but that's okay. I flew in there with very little debate prep. You know why? Because
didn't need it.
First of all, it doesn't matter what statistics you bring up. They're always going to say they won and you lost. That's number one. Number two, I knew I was going there to be the villain. I knew I was getting paid. But here's my question, and maybe you could answer it. I think I know the answer, but why is somebody like Rachel Wilson not debating 40-year-old or 50-year-old professional women that are doctors and lawyers? Why is she debating me? Why is she debating a bunch of 20-year-old OnlyFans models and farm clipping that? Why? Why?
For what it's worth, I take a lot of similar arguments in my own directly to LinkedIn, and I argue with college professors and all sorts of shit and attorneys, and I've argued the DEI talking points on my 6,500 plus network. Like, you're right. Why aren't they fighting there? I'm fighting there. You guys have all this.
Yeah, if I could answer to that, Brian, and I wouldn't normally defend just anybody, but I can defend the claim. It's in the space, right? In this space, not everybody's willing to debate, especially online, live like this. More people, I mean, you have the college professors and stuff who do those, but they're very formal, structured debates. This arena that we're in, and most of us are trying to get out of it, but it's considered blood sport debates where most people are yelling and screaming and doing those things, and it scares away the professors.
I don't mind yelling and screaming. People. Why would you debate me? I told them I'm not even a feminist.
Because you don't mind the yelling and screaming.
I told them, I said, why do you want me? Number one, I'm not a feminist. I have no expertise in this field. Yeah, of course I believe in equality and the bullshit that the Wilsons spew. Of course I disagree with it. But I told them before the debate, I'm like, why do you want to pay me to do this? I'm not even a feminist, right? It's just because I'm the villain and they want to own the lib and win a debate. And I just think that's a pathetic way of living. It's like you're on Twitter all day goading people to debate you. I'm doing a fucking show every day. I'm trying to cover the news of the day. This is not what I do, right? So I'm always going to be transparent, right? It's like the live golfers who said, oh, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this to grow to the game of golf. Bullshit. The only reason why I went out there was because I wanted to make money. Okay. They paid me. I went, I came back. I was the #1 trending story on Twitter because of a tweet I put out.
I did see that.
It is what it is, man. I laugh at it. I thought it was funny, and I think it's still funny that they're still tweeting at me. It's, it is what it
I
is.
think that's fair. And I wanted to give one last question to Mr. Balderson. If Brian, I know you had you kind
I
of
got a
gave a
little
hard
longer.
out.
I
Okay,
got a little
fair
longer.
enough.
Yep.
Mr. Balderson, my official, unofficial co-host, my right-hand man, genuine and very sweet. Your question, please.
It's good meeting you, Brian.
Hey, what's up?
With the amount of money that the U.S. already spends on healthcare and a substantial amount of that being government directed, and the way that the U.S. spends money on anything else, why exactly would you think that giving the government more control of things and maybe not butting them out of the whole situation might be more beneficial?
Well, I give the example this way: when people lose their health care and they get sick, they go to the hospital. When they go to the hospital needs to help them. They can't turn them away if they're in dire need and they need help. I hear a lot of people on the right make the argument about immigration and illegals and healthcare. Obviously, if you're illegal in this country and you're dying and you go to emergency room, they're going to take care of you as well. But I'm in the and this is, I guess, the one way I'll agree with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. 2/3 of this country have comorbidities. We're a very unhealthy country. We need to take care of ourselves. And you need proper health care to do that. I think if we're a healthier nation, then, the government doesn't need to be as involved. So I think it's a two-way street on that one. I just personally believe that if you're somebody making $30,000 or $40,000 a year or 50 or 100, that in one of the richest countries in the world, you should be able to afford healthcare. It should be affordable for you and your family. I don't want to live in a country where people can't afford to get physicals, where people can't afford to go to the dentist, where people can't afford for basic healthcare. So I guess I'm kind of in the middle with you on that one. I don't want too much government involvement.
So the ACA made the rates go up by like 3 to 4x. Government didn't really help there. Generally that seems to be the trend.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't ever really fix a problem. They make it vastly worse. And the unaffordable healthcare, even without the ACA, was still the government. We could have small town doctors if the government wasn't sticking their nose in it. And those small town doctors, you go in and you don't have a lot of money. That doctor doesn't charge you a lot of money because they're your small town doctor.
So Benjamin, I'm with you. Like if people come up with real solutions that can help people and people can afford their health care and they can get the help that they need, I'm open to it. Ben, my biggest criticism is that there are no solutions, right? I don't hear anything from the right. I don't hear solutions. People can complain about Obamacare until the cows come home. We've talked about that. But
why are you asking? So, like, for example, right before the ACA,
stream, it's just Ben's turn. Thank you.
Concepts of solutions.
Brian and Ben. Just Brian and Ben.
That's funny.
And would you also agree that these comorbidities that you speak of are typically lifestyle diseases?
I think there's a problem. I think you could make the case for that. Absolutely. Listen, I played sports in college. I played 2 sports at Division I level. I used to have a 6-pack. I don't eat very well. I don't eat well. I don't exercise as much as I used to. Sometimes life catches up to you. There has to be a level of personal responsibility. I certainly agree with that. Some of the foods that are out there are just so bad for you, but what do? You can't stop people from drinking soda. You can't stop people from going to McDonald's. So I'm not sure what we can do to fix that problem.
Would you say that outlawing, though, having the government regulate the foods that are out there in the grocery stores as opposed to the government regulating healthcare that was a lot, and the problems that are derived from lifestyle diseases would probably stem it off at the head?
I think 2 things can be right. I think we can do both at the same time. I think we could put foods out there that are healthier. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talked a lot of game. What the hell has he done in 18 months? He hasn't done anything.
He's batshit crazy. I mean, I liked what he was saying about food. That's all entirely true. Our food is atrocious in this country. Should
we be shocked that the guy that pulls over to the side of the road to cut off the penis of a dead animal is somebody who is not a serious person? That did happen, by the way. Who's not a serious person that's going to help us. He's mentally deranged himself. But anyway, to answer your question, I think we can do both. I think you bring up good points. It absolutely is lifestyles. People are on their phones all day. They're watching TV all day. They're sitting on their couches all day. I'm the idiot who has to do show prep every day. I got to do some tonight after this debate. So it's like, you know, life gets to you sometimes. There are some people that have choices and maybe they're not as busy, but certainly we could be eating healthier. I think, again, the problem is the economy too. If you don't have a lot of money, you're probably going to get fast food, even though fast food isn't cheap. I spent like $14 or $15 on a Taco Bell meal the other day. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was in high school, it was like $3.
Mhm.
But I think it's a financial thing too. If you have the means, you can get healthy food delivered to you. Obviously, you hope that you're married and maybe your wife is a great cook, but I
Yeah,
think,
that happened for me. It
oh,
works out.
well,
This is why
congratulations.
this is why I'm a many time grandpa, but I'm pretty fit.
Yeah, but I think both can be correct, right? We could have government help people that are in need, but let's do some more things to make sure people are living healthier lives. I give Michelle Obama a lot of credit for that with the healthy meals, and she was a big part of that. I'm not sure what Melania Trump has done other than write her book and become a movie star. I appreciate anybody that's willing to work hard to try to make us healthier. And then you have a lot of people on the right that are saying, you can't take our rights away. You remember how angry Republicans were when Michelle Obama was telling us about healthy foods for our kids? And now all of a sudden, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talks about it and Republicans are okay with it, you know? So I think there's some hypocrisy there too.
Oh, definitely hypocrisy in the
Yeah,
partisan politics world
Yep.
all around.
For sure.
That's their big, that's like their team sport
For sure.
all
Yep.
around.
Yep.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Good ideas. I like it.
Tom said mid 2025, Riley Gaines spoke out publicly about mishandling of the Epstein files by Trump. She spoke against Trump on the Jesus AI image. So there's that. Did you have any thoughts to that,
Yeah.
Brian?
So she spoke very briefly on a quick 1-minute video she did on the Jesus thing. Here's the point that I'm making. One of the largest causes of children losing their lives in this country is gun violence. I spoke about it earlier. I don't hear her talking about that. She did make some statements about the Epstein files, but how many statements has she made about that? The point that I was trying to make was she doesn't talk about what, in my personal opinion, are more important issues. She has made a living making the same speech for how many years now? We get it. Transgender women shouldn't be competing against women. No children are dying from that. There's only 8 College One, Division One transgender athletes. I wish somebody with a platform like that would take on some more important issues when it comes to children than just that issue. And yes, I do believe she's a grifter. I know I use that word a lot. There's a lot of there's some grifters on the left too. How about all the people in unison after the Trump assassination? Dozens of them, some of these people I know, that all put out the same tweet at the same time talking about building a ballroom. That is the definition of a grifter. They're not talking about mental health. They're not talking about how this guy breached security. They're not talking about gun control, but they're talking about a fucking ballroom. These are not serious people. And I don't want to hear Riley Gaines talk about foreign policy. I just don't think she knows what she's talking about. We get it, Riley. You don't like transgenders.
That's fair. I mean, I still would defend that too, just the same of like defending the Wilsons on why not debate these people and not those. Like for Riley Gaines, if it's your niche to talk about just the transgender issues, if that's your campaign, I wouldn't find it to be an obligation for them to talk about other issues too, right? If I'm the best mechanic on Porsche vehicles, right, you wouldn't want me to come in and work on your Honda, right? You like, and that's how I look at it.
Okay, so here's what I would say to that. If she was just volunteering and she had another full-time job doing something else, and this was her cause, I would say I'm with you 100%. This is why we know who she is. She's made millions of dollars doing this. Millions of dollars talking about the transgender issue. We're not talking fear. We're not talking about somebody who, I don't know, makes 40 or 50 grand a year, a teacher, and her big cause is, I don't know, cancer research or maybe the transgender topic. That would be different. I wouldn't be calling that person a grifter. The only reason why Riley Gaines, and I was on a panel with her on Pierce, the only reason why she's on Fox News is because of this issue. And she's still echoing the same issue over and over and over again. She's very friendly with Donald Trump, but yet she still supports the guy that's a liable sexual abuser. She still supports the guy that has had 25 women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault, including his ex-wife, in court documents under oath. And then she wants to lecture us about children and children's safety and young girls. I mean, that's, to me, it's very contradictory of the people who she supports in Washington, D.C. So
yeah, I hear you. I mean, I think if that's the case, we could just very well call everyone a grifter at this point. I mean, we
Yeah.
hear that term thrown around. I get called a grifter all the time, you know, because people send me super chats to host shows, and it's like it's just a
that's a different. You do debates. You have political discourse. I think that's great. You're not traveling around the country saying transgender women and women's sports bad and getting $10,000 for speaking engagements for saying the same thing over and over and over again, and then embarrassing yourself on Piers Morgan trying to talk about foreign policy. You know, and I said to her, we don't know who you are because you're a swimmer. We know who you are because you attack transgenders. And then she said to me, I was the number 3 swimmer in the country. Can you name 5 college swimmers? She made my point for me.
right. That's fair.
And in the country can name 2 college swimmers, man or woman. That was the point that I was trying to make. And she didn't really understand that. So
Fair enough. I accept your answer. Zippy sending out 5 Dragon Fist TV memberships over on Andrew's side, and also says Brian's ideas won't do anything. There's so many illegal guns. Kids have guns these days.
that's not true. I said it on this show. I said if you sell an illegal gun or you buy this person's not listening, or if you buy an illegal gun, it should be a mandatory prison sentence. It could be 6 months. It could be a year. So this person, I blame Democrats for that too. We need to have stronger laws put on the books. If you sell an illegal gun or buy one, there should be a mandatory prison sentence. I also said 18 years to 21 years old. And some people say to me, well, Brian, you could be 18 and serve. Yeah, because they're trained how to use the weapons. Are you guys comfortable with an 18-year-old who's never shot a weapon before buying thousands of rounds of ammunition at an AR-15? I'm not. And I think you should have to re-register your gun, just like a car. We should have to check your health, your eyesight, all that stuff. There's so many different red flag laws. I think we need to do something and ramp those up. So it's not just one idea that I have. I have 5. It doesn't mean you have to agree with me, but you know, if you sell or buy an illegal gun, I think we all should agree, Republican or Democrat. Let's give them a mandatory prison sentence, and I guarantee you that number will go down. I guarantee you it'll go down. It's not going to fix everything, but isn't this about saving lives?
That's fair.
No such thing as an illegal gun.
Yeah, there actually is.
There is actually. There are certain machine guns that you can't purchase in this country. You can't have live grenades, right? You can't. There's certain weapons that are illegal.
We've got progress we need to work on. I'm agreeing.
Kids don't have those guns though. I mean, there's not a kid
and they shouldn't
running
have
around
grenades
with
either. I'll give you that. Kids
Yeah,
should not
access-
have grenades.
access to them, though.
Well, 18-year-olds are allowed to walk into stores with assault weapons, and
That's incredible. God
as I
bless
said,
America.
I think we need to, listen. There's 5 or 6 different things I've mentioned, right? Give me 1 or 2 of those. Here's the problem.
No,
You have Republicans that wear AR-15 pins 2 days after a school shooting. Those are despicable human beings. And by the way, George Santos, who I know, is one of them. And he admitted that was wrong. When you have people that have and we talked about empathy, you're going to bring an AR-15 pin with you to the House chambers days after kids are decapitated. You have a group of people that just don't care. It doesn't matter. It's thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers with no solutions. You have Ted Cruz after the not Parkland. It was the not Sandy Hook. The one in Texas. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the school shooting.
Uvalde?
Sorry, Uvalde.
Well, they stopped parents from going in. They were too big of cowards to save
horrible,
the
too.
kids, and they even stopped and arrested parents
So
from
they
being
were
able to go in and
cowards.
save their own kids
Absolutely.
in a gun-free zone. That's fucking
What did-
insane. You're
What
right.
did Ted Cruz say?
I don't care.
Hours after the shooting, you know what he said? The back door should have been locked. As if an 18-year-old who just shot his grandmother in the face is going to be deterred by a locked door. You had the governor of Texas, who I think is an absolute imbecile and a disgrace. You know what he was doing that day? That night, he had a campaign fundraiser dinner. And before they had finished counting all the bodies of those poor children, he was counting his money in the dinner. That's who Greg Abbott is, who I call Greg Abhole. I mean, he's just the worst.
Hot Wheels.
That's not, when I say empathy, you're the governor of the state. There's a massive school shooting, and he refused to cancel a fundraiser dinner that night. that is not only a lack of leadership, it makes you, in my opinion, a disgusting human being. So we need to have better people representing us that do have empathy, that care. If you care about the unborn and you're anti-abortion, great. Let's also care about after the child is born. And I think Republicans are hypocrites when it comes to that.
All right. Zippy asks over on Andrew's side, will Brian cry again? So far, I haven't seen any tears fall. I think you're doing great, but also
I'll respond to that.
Oh, sure. Oh,
Sorry,
did you mute?
muted. Sorry. This is what I was talking about when I talk about empathy. And all you guys, I'm interested in your opinion on this.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the debate, I brought up and I tried to humanize the story. And I said, Rachel, you know, it's a horrible story. And I feel for her, and I still do, that she lost her 10-year-old son in a car accident. It's a horrible story. I didn't bring it up to antagonize her. I didn't bring it up to make fun of her. I would never do that. And I tried to humanize it and say, listen, I was in a car accident when I was 12. I lost my grandmother. It's the reason why my sister died at such a young age. And the only reason why I brought this up was to say, sadly, we have this in common. I'm trying to throw her an olive branch, and I'm saying life is really short. We don't have any guarantees in life. And my point was, I don't want to tell other people what to do, whether you're a man or a woman. If you want to become a radio host, become a radio host. If you want to be the president, go for it. Doctor, that's all I was saying. And the despicable people that are some of her fans were attacking me, making it sound like I was bringing up the loss of her son to somehow mock her. When you go back and you watch that, I was emotional, and it was real emotion. And when I talk about the loss of my sister, when I talk about the loss of my grandmother, it brings emotion. Why? Because I miss them and I think about them every day. I would imagine, just like Rachel thinks about her son every day. And I was trying to have a moment with her. And this is what, a humanizing empathy moment. Did she say anything about the loss of members of my family? Anything at all? No, of course not. She just took the opportunity to attack me. And her friends took the opportunity to attack me. So the person who just said, is Brian crying? That's what I'm talking about. That's a Rachel Wilson fan or an Andrew Wilson fan that struggles with empathy. I don't wish death upon anybody or loss of life. And I was just trying to humanize and having a moment with her where I was hoping she would say, I'm sorry you went through that too, Brian.
So why did you think bringing up her dead kid was not mean?
I'll answer that. The point that I just said.
I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. Instead of just asking the question, I'll put it this way. I can't believe I'm defending this, but I have to. So here's how I look at it. If I had something that happened to me and my family that was traumatizing and drastic, right? The last thing I want is for some total stranger to be bringing that up in any type of conversation, right? You don't know me, you don't know my family, you don't know my child, you know nothing about that moment, right? And this is not a shot at you, Brian. I understand your emotional pull to it, and I understand the direction you were going with it. And it wasn't a slight, it wasn't a gotcha of any moment. But I also look at it as if that were me and you bring up something about me that is very touching to me and it's personal and it's my child and it's my particular situation, I would lose all cool points with you whatsoever, because and let me put it this way. I have a rule here on the debate space where when I talk to the debaters backstage, I usually explain to them, no wife, no child, no personal, no family. I don't want your dogs talked about, your neighbor, your grandma. Don't bring up anything about each other's personal life in this conversation beyond the topic. And that's
Let me ask you a question.
Right?
Let me ask you a question. If I had said it this way and I said, Rachel, I know you've had tragedy in your life as well.
Yes, that's
wrong?
okay. That's okay.
Brian, here's literally the problem. Just at a really clear point, we might not agree on it. It's like asking a fat woman if she's expecting a baby. I would never talk about someone's dead kid. Full stop, fucking period. Now, I have a daughter who had, I had a daughter who had 4 brain surgeries by age 2. Doctor wasn't sure she'd live till 3. She's 11 now. What I'm telling you is, and I'm saying this, just, you got thick skin. You're too fucking stupid to understand how deep that's cutting. Just don't do it. Just advice from someone. If you're really trying to be empathetic, don't talk about dead kids. Don't talk about sick kids. It just brings up a whole lot of feelings that aren't nice. There's no nice way to do it.
Maybe I'm a little bit more open in my life than most people.
Mm-hmm.
But the only point that I was trying to make, and no, I disagree. I don't think it was mean at all because there was no intent.
I
Doesn't
don't
sound
think,
like you meant
I
it that
don't
way.
think
I
it
don't
was
think you
trying
meant
to
it
be
that way.
mean.
The
No,
only
I don't
point
think
that I was
anyone would
trying-
say
Yeah,
that.
the only point that I was trying to make is that, life is short and we all go through tragedies in our life.
Mhm.
And anyone who claims that I was trying to use that to get her to break down or to be mean or to be hurtful or to be disgusting, they're wrong. I mean, they're wrong. I can tell you 100%. And, my emotion showed that too. I was talking about the loss of my family. If she didn't like that, here's what I would say to that. And some people might not like this. Tough shit. Because she brought up my dead sister. She brought up, and she put on her social media page blatant lies about me and my family, about my sister who passed away a few years ago. And then her only excuse to it was, oh, well, I just retweeted it. I didn't say it myself.
No responsibility.
So right, exactly. So
Yeah,
exactly.
Andrew's right. Women don't want accountability.
So example, right? If I, and I would never do this, but if some crazy lunatic on the left said that she took advantage of her son's death, right? And it was nothing but lies and hurtful shit. And then I retweeted that. You don't think she'd be upset at that? Now, I would never do that, but she was totally okay doing it. Now, I didn't bring up her son for that reason. I want to be very clear. I brought it up to try to humanize the situation. But I think it's also an issue of credibility. When you look at the statements that they make about people every day, and what they say about people every day, I just think they have zero credibility to complain about anything, quite frankly. But full disclosure, since we're talking about this, I offered to shake their hands and be cordial with them before when we were in the green room. They refused. After we were supposed to be all having a dinner with some of the people who went to the event, guess who didn't want me there? And guess who said he wasn't going to be there if I was there? Andrew Wilson, because he's a big fucking crybaby. I'm willing to be professional, even though I might think you're a horrible person. I would have been professional. I was willing to do that. So again, I'm going in a circle here, but I just think they're both awful human beings. Awful people.
Can I
Andrew?
That.
So I think the issue that we have from the other side is it seems like an emotional manipulation. Like the entire night you're saying like, oh, this side lacks empathy. This side, they're all despicable people. It seems like as soon as they don't agree with you, you cast them as despicable people.
No, the reason
you've been doing it all night, Andrew.
It's like when you walk into a room and you say, "Hey, asshole," and the first guy that turns around and goes, "What?" is usually the biggest asshole, right?
Well, hold on. Let Andrew have his back and forth with Brian.
So it seems to almost be a tactic that's completely based in hypocrisy. Even when you brought up Trump and Biden before, I was laughing to myself because how you could say Trump is such a bad person and like you wish Biden did more when you could just look at their kids. Like you don't know any of these people. You hear what they say on the news and out of context. You never met them. You don't talk to them. You don't know. But you claim so many people despicable and the other side has good intentions.
Why is Joe Biden despicable?
Okay, so I'm just saying if we look at the kids that they let me answer. You can look at a reflection of the person in the kids that they raise, right? All Trump's kids, Trump never had a drink. He doesn't smoke. None of his kids do. They don't curse. They're all dressed very nice. You look at Biden's kids, literally smoking crack with a gun to a hooker's head. And you're up here saying that this is literally taking pictures of it.
Yeah,
gun
so
to
what
a
we're
hooker's
talking about.
head. And
So
you're supporting it. Not despicable. Not a word.
Rob Reiner, so by your standards, Rob Reiner's kid murdered him. So does that make Rob
What
Reiner?
aboutism? All you do is whataboutism.
No.
You can't deal with the point in front of you.
Hold on. Let's go one at a time so we can have the conversation.
By your standard, we should judge people based on their kids. I'm giving you a specific, hold on. That's what you just said.
Hold on, Patty.
Rob Reiner's son killed him. So does that make Rob Reiner a bad guy by your standard?
It depends on what the reasons were. I don't know. I don't want to make it.
Okay, it depends on what the reasons were. Let's go with that.
You can kill people for different reasons.
Okay, Andrew, I hear you. It depends on the reasons. Okay, let's go with that. So do you think because Hunter Biden was addicted to drugs, that makes Joe Biden a bad guy?
Well, he also, do you know about his daughter's journal?
Yes, I do, but please answer my question first, and then we'll talk about it.
So that's why I said it's one. So this is a straw man because I said this is one. Yes, it is, because this is not the only metric.
All right,
you can get a clear.
Andrew, let me just give you a clear metric, and I'm going to be very direct with you.
Sure.
Joe Biden is not a liable sexual abuser. He's not a 34 count felon.
Because he's on your side. If he wasn't, he would be.
Hold on a second. He's never talked about grabbing women by the genitals. Okay. He never put Ghislaine Maxwell in a Club Med facility.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. I'm giving you a list here. I'm not saying Joe Biden's perfect. His son did serve. And if you want to talk about kids, I'm happy to get into that conversation with you, because Donald Trump's own kids stole from the Trump charity. And I can give you plenty of more examples about how his kids are also despicable people. But if you're going to talk about Joe Biden, there is no moral equivalent. Okay. Donald Trump's got 25 women that have accused him of rape, including his own ex-wife in court documents. Okay. There was one woman that came forward when it came to Joe Biden, and then she withdrew it and she changed her story 4 times. There is no moral equivalency to Donald Trump, who Marco Rubio once said, if it wasn't for his father giving him a $500 million business, he'd be selling fake gold watches in Manhattan. He has been a scam artist his entire life, who bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission. Now, let's talk about the diary. I'm happy to talk about that with you. First of all, the diary was in the hands of a man by the Mr. O'Keefe, who is a right-wing nut. Number 2, she's never said she wrote that in the diary. Number 3, what exactly did she say? She didn't say how old she was, and she said borderline inappropriate. Okay, that's it. So if you want to call Joe Biden a pedophile for sniffing hair, you can go ahead and do that. But guess what? Donald Trump is in the Epstein files almost 40,000 times, and there's still 3 million files that we haven't seen. Okay, so there is no moral equivalent, with all due respect, between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And it's not because of their kids, or because Hunter Biden had an unloaded gun for 13 days, or he had a drug problem. Okay, just because someone is addicted to drugs doesn't mean the parents are bad people. And I gave Rob as an example of that. You really think there's a moral equivalent with the way Joe Biden has lived his life, a loving husband?
Let me answer. No, because the whole thing you're saying,
rationalize and justify some more, Brian.
No, the whole thing he's saying is not my point. What I'm saying is he has selective moral outrage.
Oh, really? I do.
Of course. Let me finish. Of course,
let Andrew explain it, and then you can rebuttal.
Of course, in this scenario, Joe Biden gets all the benefits of the doubt that you just named, and Trump gets none of them. That is my point. Selective moral outrage, only directed at one side.
Okay,
and that's the reason I'm calling you out. It's not for one particular metric.
Wrong, and I'm going to give you proof of it. When I found out,
hold on, Andrew.
Eric Swalwell, immediately after all that information came out, not only did I call him a scumbag and I was trashing him, I immediately said he needs to step down. And I believe he probably did some bad things to kids. You know who else I think probably did some bad things to kids? Bill Clinton. So you are wrong. It's not that I'm just giving people the benefit of the doubt. Donald Trump was proven to be a liable sexual abuser in a court of law. Okay, that was proven. He paid Stormy Daniels to raw dog her, for lack of a better term, and then paid her off $130,000. He's cheated on every single woman he's ever been with. Okay, so it's not about giving. Okay, you know what, Andrew? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say,
do you really think he's a sexual abuser? He has billions of dollars. Why does he need to do that? Why? He could get laid anytime he wants. Literally, he's a model wife. He's out there abusing women.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question about that, because we didn't get to it. I have a question.
Andrew, hold on. You already asked the question. Let Brian respond at least.
Do I really think he needs to do that because of money? So by your standards, Harvey Weinstein never raped a woman before, by your ridiculous standards?
There's a big difference there. Harvey Weinstein was quite an ugly motherfucker. Harvey Weinstein was hideous to look at. And that is
can we dance with care on our wording of this subject, gentlemen?
So Donald Trump is the supermodel, so he.
No, I'm saying he doesn't need to go out. Like, why would he be doing that? Stupid.
Okay, let me interrupt for just a second. And Andrew, I only say this because earlier I tried to point out some oddballs on Brian, but he was still consistent with his responses, right? So anything that was happening to the right, he was still calling out on the left. Like in consistency was what I found, at least so far in his argumentation.
Who am I giving grace? What are you talking about?
You just gave it to Biden. So I would ask this: how does a man who never ever gets arrested in his entire life turn 70-something and gets 90-something charges when he's running for president? How does that happen exactly?
Okay, sure.
How does that happen? If that's not politically motivated. And I want to ask you one follow-up question, because I know you're going to talk for a long time.
That's fine. Hold on.
So we were talking
and
about,
also, you keep calling people grifters. I brought this up. I want you to answer it. Why is it that you keep bringing up the Donald Trump thing about him grabbing women by the pee, when I'll ask you, and I clarified the statement, and you keep bringing it up like that's your point.
Sure.
Is it true that when you are famous some women will let you do that. Is that true?
So Donald
Is
Trump.
that true?
Let him answer. Let him answer, Andrew.
Yes or no?
Well, here's
Woosah.
why I bring that up in a negative fashion, because Donald Trump also went on the Howard Stern show and he bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission. Several of those women have already come forward and done interviews in the last 5 or 6 years claiming that, yes, it did happen. He goes on the Howard Stern show saying because he ran the pageant without their permission, he looked at teenagers in a sexual way naked. Now, while he did say when you're a celebrity, they let you do it, it's also despicable talk. Now, if you can give me anything that Joe Biden has said or done that rises to that level, or Kamala Harris, then please do so. It's not about giving somebody grace. Here's what we know for sure. According to Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump was his best friend for somewhere around 10 years. He calls people stupid for even talking about the Epstein files. So it's not about giving somebody grace, and it's not about consistency, because as Sarah mentioned, when it comes to Eric Swalwell or anybody who has some serious allegations put forth against them, I want them to step down. Donald Trump, if you think, let me ask you a question. Do you think all the women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual abuse, are they all liars?
Well, you didn't answer my question. So I'm first of all going to point that out. You did not answer my question, which was, is that a true statement that when you are famous, some women will let you do that? Is that true or not?
I'm sure that when you're famous that you can have your way with women. Is that what you're asking me? I mean, I suppose.
That was the statement. So you agree with it. You spent years bringing it up.
So what do you think about him? Okay.
And you agree with it.
Answered you, I suppose. Now, what do you think about him going into teenage girls' locker rooms and bragging about it? What do you think about that?
So after you've just proved that you take things out of context for years, I would have to check the context on it.
How about when he talked about how voluptuous his daughter was?
I didn't take anything out of context. Excuse me. He said he grabs women by the pussy.
He said when you're famous, women will let you grab them by the pussy. That's a different statement.
Well, okay, hold on.
You're a star, they let you do it.
Hold on, Uncle Fatty. Please allow. Hold on, Andrew. I think
it's a different claim.
Hold on, Andrew.
Sorry.
Thank you. We're because your initial statement started with you judge a man by his children, right? And that was like a metric that you were using, right? And then that turned into a thing between Trump and Biden. But I guess my question to you is like, what is your end all be all of the goal of asking these questions about what somebody said about grabbing a girl by the pussy, so on and so forth? Like, I think Brian has been consistent with what he's talked about. Like, he balanced in terms of right versus left. Now, I don't know the rest of Brian's politics and other things that he's stated. So if he said something else, I could be wrong, but I'm just going based off of tonight. Okay. So I guess my question to you is like, what point are you trying to get to other than proving that you're judging somebody by their child, or Brian thinks Trump's bad but doesn't think Biden or other people on the left are? And I think you were going into the idea of grace, but even at that, I wouldn't call that a metric of anything either. I want to see something a little more foundational with that.
Sure. I'm pointing to clear cases of hypocrisy. He gets up here and talks about Riley Gaines telling the same story for years while he's telling a story that's already been debunked in a method trying to sway people that it's something that it's not.
Okay, disagree.
I never said. I'm pointing to the hypocrisy.
Andrew, I never said that he bragged about sexual assault. What I did say is that he bragged about grabbing women by the pussy and then said it was locker room talk. What I also give you is some context. What I also give you is some context which you haven't addressed. He bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms without their permission. I'd like you to address that. Do you think that's wrong to do?
Clearly, but as I was saying, if you just took this statement, you cannot not take it out of context. You just did it again. You said he bragged about grabbing women by the pussy.
Clearly, but
I'm asking
you not. So if you can't even get that statement correct,
I got the statement correct. I just didn't add more to what he said afterwards.
No, he said when you are famous, you can do this thing. That's not saying I do this thing.
And then he said, grab them by the pussy, which is very vulgar language. That's all. The only point now I'm going to ask you again. When he bragged about going into teenage girls' locker rooms, is that wrong without their permission? Yes or no?
if that's what he said in context, of course it's wrong. I'm not a Trump defender. I'm actually fair across the board. And that's what I'm trying to get out of you, because yes, you criticize people on the other side, but they don't get labeled. Yes, you brought up an example, Swalwell, but all night it's been the people of Rachel, despicable, Trump's family, despicable. And even when people do—
What do you think on the left that's despicable that I haven't called out? Give me an example.
The entire left platform, as I've been trying to explain to you, is producing, yes, you're running cover for it, is producing radical, just in its mainstream. Teachers are trying to shoot the president, and NPR is reading it on the news, realizing that they're just reading the mainstream leftist views, and you're ignoring it.
Did I defend violence? When have I done that? Have I done that?
By running cover for them, you're not addressing the correct problem. Same with the guns. You're bringing up these red flag laws, all these laws, not addressing the mental health issue at all.
Let's go one at a time.
Have I run cover for any form of political violence? Have I done that today? Or have I called out both sides and said the assassination was awful? By the way, one assassination attempt does not represent the entire left.
Six. He's had six.
Ridiculous.
No other president has had six. Why is that? Why?
Let's talk about that. Because I don't.
Okay.
Why is that?
All right. Hold on, Andrew. Hold on. I need you to level down, Andrew, before we get too worked up. Can we, Andrew, can we 1000% pin like one person picking up a gun and doing something bad on either side of the fence? Right. Can we
okay.
You want to say that because somebody picked up the gun and did something like, and then we always determine, well, and I'm trying to produce.
Yeah.
He had a manifesto with mainstream leftist views in it.
But we also, most of these people that do the pew-pewing are typically, we find out they're like psychotic and crazy later, right? Like I haven't seen a whole lot of them come out with.
Andrew, do you know?
And they have FBI handlers.
You know what the manifesto said for the guy who went to the Texas El Paso Walmart? Are you aware of that?
This is another whataboutism.
No,
you're not directing. You're not talking about the problem I keep bringing up.
Andrew, the only point I'm making is it happens on both sides. It's not the entire left platform. I want to say something else. The first guy who tried to assassinate Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, was a registered Republican. You can shake the first. No, he was a registered Republican. It doesn't matter. The second guy who tried to assassinate Donald Trump voted for him in 2016. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Can I counter that?
What's
so
there to
if he
counter?
voted for somebody in 2016, did he shoot anybody then? Or did he shoot someone when he stopped doing that and moved over to your side and started hating him? When did he shoot somebody?
He was too young to vote anyway.
Hold on.
Hating Trump is your side.
What's my side?
Hating Trump. Are you going to say the guy that tried to shoot Trump doesn't hate Trump?
When did I say that?
You're implying that he's on the right.
No, you're implying the entire left. You're implying the entire left, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Go listen to NPR. Realize it live on the news. Maybe you should stop pushing this rhetoric. Is it wrong to call the right Nazis?
First of all,
hold on, Brian. Hold on. I think that's fair. I think that's fair what Brian said, though, Andrew. He said you're applying it to the entire left. You said earlier the rhetoric, right? The radicalized left is all the left bad, left bad. But then here you are saying that he's applying everything Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. So in essence, like you're actually pulling a bigger issue there than what you're pinning on Brian.
I can put in the chat the
YouGov poll.
He said he already knows about it.
Can I just let me just say there's a lot of character assassination, right, going on pretty much the whole time. But the people have already made their judgment. They see Donald Trump with all his flaws. You're talking about things that happened 30, 40 years ago. The American people have already said, all right, you know what? We kind of don't care. We kind of would rather have someone that we believe is going to go in and do the job regardless of that. And so I think that's a more interesting thing when you bring up the prompt. He's not good for America. Well, what is the alternative? Because it seems like the only platform his pitch is not this guy.
I'll answer that. If Kamala Harris was president of the United States, and by the way, she wasn't my first, second, or third pick, but if Kamala was president of the United States, we have not have been in an ill-advised war. We wouldn't be in Iran right now. Kamala Harris wouldn't have rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin. By the way, no sanctions. Can somebody name one sanction that Iran has? All these MAGA Republicans out there, and I'm sure Andrew would say this, is that we're winning the war in Iran, okay? If for the point of winning a war is sanctions from the opposition, can anybody in this chat name me one sanction that Iran has given up? They've closed the Strait of Hormuz. Thousands of innocent Iranians have died. Children have died. If Kamala was president of the United States, she would not have been perfect, but she wouldn't have played a puppet to Benjamin Netanyahu. We wouldn't be in
Can I respond? Because he mentioned
again, your platform just is, well, not this guy. Like, she wouldn't have done this. She wouldn't have done this. Those like hypotheticals. But like, what do you suggest? If not this,
don't
then,
vote
like,
for
what is the platform?
Dumbass fucking Republican grifters.
Thank
How
you.
about that?
Yeah.
Can I respond?
If that's all you got, and you wonder why people support that.
Andrew?
Let me respond, because maybe Ryan, you'll appreciate this.
Rationalizations and justifications of people that do shitty shit to other human beings that admit to it, but that was a while ago, so fucking whatever, right?
It was 30 years ago. What I said. I think you missed the point, bud.
Brian,
how about this? Can we try something, guys? Can we just get off this whole little thing here for a second?
Hold on, Fatty. Hold on.
I want to respond to what you said, because you mentioned me in that last thing you said.
20 seconds, and then Andrew, I'll shut up. Okay.
Sure. Fair enough.
Thank you. The last guy who just spoke, he said 30 years ago, as if just because something happened 30 years ago, we should just forget it. Let me tell you something. By your standards, maybe we should hire Bill Cosby to watch your kids, because he only did some bad things 30 or 40 years ago.
Wasn't my point.
Extremely ignorant. Go ahead.
Wasn't my point. My point was that these things have already been put up to the public test. We knew about them 30 years ago, and they didn't care.
Okay.
Well, all right. I'm gonna take back this for just a second, real quick, and kindly remind everybody that we are still kind of going one at a time. And I already said very clearly earlier that interruptions are my biggest pet peeve, and I have no issue just putting you backstage at this point because I don't have the patience for it tonight. But I wanted to hand it back to Andrew to offer his response, and then one at a time we'll go from there. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
go ahead.
Brian, I legitimately don't want to come out of this with you thinking I'm despicable. So I'm going to show you that I'm fair across the board. I'm fair across the board. I'm not like a huge Trump supporter, no matter what, diehard Trump supporter. So that's why I'm going to show you how I'm fair. All night we're talking about the economy. No one has mentioned the actual issue, which is neither political side ever brings up. Neither one is going to help us. Neither. Kamala had one. She wouldn't have helped us. Trump is not helping us. So this is how you be fair. The problem here, which you have your own show, you should know this. No one ever mentions it. America's problem is the fact that every year we run a deficit. And what happens when we run that deficit, both federally and on the state level, is at the end of the year, the government is forced to print money every year. And this soars the actual inflation. This is the real problem. The only thing that goes up is the asset holders, the rich class. This is what's extending their wealth and crushing the middle class. And neither political party ever mentions balancing the budget. So I would say on the midterm elections, listen to which party, it's going to be neither, ever mentions balancing our budget.
Andrew,
because this is what's killing the middle class.
Andrew,
so
which
I
party
actually do want to help.
Andrew, which party has gotten us more in debt in the last 40 years?
Neither mentions balancing the budget ever. It's not even a talking point.
It's not even all the time, bro.
Andrew, which party has gotten us more in debt in the last 40 years?
I don't want to say something that's incorrect. If it's the Republicans, I'm agreeing with you. See, we're on the same side.
Okay, Andrew, it's not even close. Donald Trump got us $8.2 trillion in debt his first go around. We're now printing money, $2 billion a day on this war. I'm not saying Joe Biden was perfect. I'm not saying Barack Obama was perfect. But, if you look at the actual numbers, Republicans, and by the way, Republicans, the last illegitimate war we had was under George W. Bush. We're still trying to pay off that war. So I'm not saying Democrats are perfect, but I agree with you. If your concern is about the deficit, then we shouldn't be voting for Donald Trump, who got us $8.2 trillion in debt his first go around.
Yeah, I'm telling you that I didn't know that he was going to start a war. And I agree. This doesn't benefit the American people at all. It's a giant waste of money. He should have put that money towards paying off the deficit, which actually would have helped the middle class. So I'm being fair. I don't care. No, I'm telling you, he doesn't care about the regular people. He doesn't.
Andrew can't call himself fair and not know which party is responsible for the deficit. If you're saying
neither of them help us, neither. But you say are going to help you.
You say
who says they're going to balance?
Mindful. I can't hear any of you when you're all talking over each other. Thank you so kindly.
I apologize. Andrew is just making the point that he's fair. He's not biased. He'll call each side out fairly and squarely. His key issue that he brought up was the deficit, which I agree with him, whatever. But when Brian asked him specifically which party is responsible for that, he struggled to give the correct
I
name.
don't know
Like, you
the
don't know.
answer.
Why
I don't
don't
know.
you know?
Let-
But that's your key. That's what I understand. That's your key issue, and you don't even know who the responsible party is. That's all I wanted to say.
But you can
You changed
always
the claim, though.
find
It was
one piece of
dishonest.
information someone doesn't know. At least I'm willing to admit it. It doesn't make me like less capable of having these conversations. I'm the only one bringing up the real issue here. So like I don't get your point.
You're
And
making
I
an
am being
argument about
fair. I'm
something you
saying
don't know
Trump
about.
is
Hey,
not helping us.
Andrew, I respectfully disagree with you because I've brought up this war, not just because our brave men and women in uniform are coming home in caskets, but also because it's costing us $2 billion a day. The reason why I'm not saying Democrats are perfect on the deficit, because clearly they're not. But again, Donald Trump got us 8.2 trillion his first go around. So if we're talking about the economy, and we're talking about fiscal responsibility, which I believe that's what you're talking about. And if we're talking about wasteful spending, which is all I heard the first 6 months of this administration, and Elon Musk did next to nothing. And then he's out the door. We don't get our $5,000 Doge checks. And now we're just printing money with this war. We're printing money, which I know you and I agree on. It's a terrible decision. It should have never happened. The only point I was trying to make to the other gentleman is, and I guarantee you this, Kamala Harris would not have gotten us into it. You could not like her policies and not think she's perfect. She would not have gotten us into this war. Andrew, I promise you, she would not have gotten us into this
Can
war.
I respond?
And, okay,
She
go ahead.
wasn't hiding
But
from
the
anything
reason,
about-
the problem though, because you had mentioned things like entitlements, and you're talking about Kamala Harris now, and how like Republicans are bad because they want to take away people's food stamps and and SNAP and all that. That's not actually the case. They just want to cut out the waste, fraud, and abuse. What if we had the billions of dollars that Democrats let slip through? We're not bad people because we don't want.
Oh, hold on, let
waste
me ask
and
you a question.
fraud.
Andrew,
So that's what you would have had with
Yeah,
Kamala.
Andrew, I have a question for you. So you
Yeah.
care about fraud and people that commit-
Correct.
Okay. Are you aware that Donald Trump has pardoned over 70 people that have committed, hold on, billions of dollars of fraud, and they don't have to pay back restitution? Were you aware of that, Andrew?
But I'm not up here. I'm saying neither side is helping us. I'm actually being fair. You want me? I came up here with the economic point to say neither side is
Andrew,
helping, and you want me to
Andrew.
defend Trump.
Andrew,
Why would I do that? I'm showing you I'm not doing that.
Andrew,
To be
he's
fair.
pardoned people that are literally committing billions of dollars in fraud, and they don't have to pay back restitution. If you care so much about fraud, then why would you vote for the guy who's pardoning
No.
these people?
I'm telling you that they don't fight these programs because they're evil and despicable. They fight them because they see huge amounts of waste and loss.
How did that work out with Doge? How did that work out?
How did it work out with Minnesota and the Quality Leering Center?
I'll answer that. I'll answer that for you. So the Biden administration had
Talking points for days,
arrested
bro.
and charged 90 people. If you're talking about Nick Shirley, maybe you like Nick Shirley, maybe you think
I don't
he's
care.
good. I don't know. Well, I mean, you brought up Minnesota, for example. You claim you know a lot about Minneapolis, but then when I bring up the pardons that Donald Trump brought up, you seem ignorant to that. I find that problematic and very biased. I don't want fraud anywhere. Okay.
I'm not defending him. How is that biased? But you
Are you
see this,
aware of
you're
those-
doing it to me now. Even the fact that I have the slightest bit
You're
of
doing it to yourself,
on that
bro.
side, I have to be biased and in the wrong here when I'm not even defending
Okay, so
him.
let's talk about
But
Minneapolis.
that's the
How many
actual
arrests-
cognitive dissonance.
How many arrests have been made in Minneapolis from the Trump DOJ? Do you know?
This has nothing to do with my point. I'm telling
brought
you
up
that
Minneapolis,
Republicans
that's
are not
also what you're
despicable because they want to fix entitlement programs. They want to fix it because they see
Andrew,
waste, fraud, and abuse.
Andrew, I'm
That's
trying
my
to be
point.
respectful. Andrew,
Can I
you
jump in,
brought up
please, before we get too
despicable.
far away from the topic that I wanted to
Andrew,
speak
you
on?
brought up Minneapolis. I'm asking you what happened in Minneapolis. And because of Nick Shirley, who, by the way, is an actual real grifter, I've debated Nick Shirley. He's a complete imbecile who went over to Ukraine and made jokes. Do you know he made satire jokes in Ukraine? He went over there. Are you aware of that, Andrew? That's
No, I don't follow Nick Shirley, and I don't follow every single
Then
thing
why are you
Trump does.
bringing
'Cause
up
I
what
don't
he
care
fucking said?
about
Why are
these.
you bringing up Minneapolis? Because they haven't
Because you brought up Kamala, and that's what you would have seen more of if Kamala had been elected. Tons more. They're just going through California now.
Let me get this right. The guy who started Trump University, the guy who's been scamming people for decades, and you're saying Kamala Harris, who to my knowledge has never scammed anybody in her entire life. I'm not saying she's perfect. You're saying that she would have, as president, who's in the crypto scandal right now? Who's
Dude, her fucking VP was Tim Walz. Her VP was Tim Walz. Her VP was Tim Walz.
Who's the only politician that ever called Donald Trump a Nazi? It's J.D. Vance, bro.
So what does that have to do with what we're talking about?
Andrew, who's the person who got $2.1 billion from the Saudis? And who's the person who's made billions of dollars in a crypto scandal? Was that Kamala Harris? I might have forgotten.
Who was her VP?
Why are you not answering my direct question?
Yeah,
Because it's
answer the
another
question.
whataboutism. You don't answer anything I bring up. Nothing,
bro.
Nothing.
Hold on. He won't answer a question and he says it's whataboutism. We're talking about fraud. We're talking about Donald Trump. He has concerns about fraud. I give specific examples, not hundreds of millions of dollars, of billions of dollars that Donald Trump has committed that's fraud. And his only response is whataboutism. Let's talk about Tim Walz.
Address the points I'm bringing up.
Serious. You're not being fair. You're not fair. With all due respect, you're not fair
Okay,
at all.
so is this fair? If that's true, then obviously I denounce
How do you
that. And
not
I think
know
it's
that?
wrong. I have to verify it. You've
Sarah.
proved we can't go off what you say. If I verify it and it's true, then I'll denounce it.
Sarah,
Is
this
that fair?
the point I'm trying to make
Hold
with
on,
him. He's
Yeah.
talking about Tim Walz. He's talking about Minneapolis. Okay, fine. No problem.
Yeah.
He voted for Donald Trump, and he doesn't know that Donald Trump has done all these pardons, and he doesn't know that he's made billions of dollars in a crypto scandal. It's either you're
Flood the zone works, bro.
What was the scandal?
Flood the zone.
What was the
So
scandal?
hold on. So I think and maybe I'm trying to kind of balance the scales here, but Andrew is referring to like frauding out tax dollars, correct? Right, that's the Minneapolis that you were bringing up. Like
Yeah,
they're
government
scamming
scheme.
and frauding and taking away government
Correct.
tax
Correct.
dollars
Yep.
from the people.
Yep.
Now, Brian, you're back to him. Your rebuttal to him is Trump's personal, like he's scamming people privately, but it's not government funding, correct?
Well, the government contract that Eric Trump and Don Jr. are involved in is certainly government related. Jared Kushner receiving $2.1 billion from the Saudis, and Andrew doesn't seem to know what I'm talking about. The point I'm trying to make is
No, I didn't say that.
if you
Hold on,
care about
Hold
fraud
on.
like I do, Andrew, I'm going to try to take your word on this. If you care about fraud like you claim, then why would you vote for the guy knowing that his Secretary of State took $2.1 billion from the Saudis, a $400 million jet, and he has a $5.5 billion resort in Qatar? Why would you vote for the man who makes deals with terrorists and has made billions of dollars in a crypto scandal and allows members of his administration to get billions of dollars and pardons people who have committed billions of dollars in fraud and they don't have to pay back restitution? And then you're claiming Kamala would have been worse when it comes to this stuff? I'm sorry, I disagree.
Let's do one thing because we've spoken a lot here about government corruption on this channel. We've gone through high waters of conspiracy theories to actual shit happening so that we could prove it, so on and so forth. Andrew and Brian, can you both agree that government politics is essentially fraud, scam, and corrupted? Pretty much all of it, or at least to a very strong degree, that all politicians are dirty to some level. Can we all say that? Moving, like, at least it's there,
easily.
whether it's on
Both
a small,
sides.
My original
whether it's
point
on a
was both
small
sides.
scale or a large scale. Okay, so that nips that whole piece in the bud. I think you both are really actually saying the same thing. Andrew, you're just more humdrum at Brian on like he shouldn't just be mad at Trump, but I think Brian has kind of opened the door to say, no, I'm mad at anyone, left, right, and center. And Andrew, you're actually saying the same thing, that you're not just mad at the left. You even the Nick Shirley thing, you said, well, I haven't heard about that, but I would disavow, right?
Yeah.
So I think you actually both have that common ground where you both would agree that it's not just left, it's not just right, and we shouldn't just point fingers in one direction.
I believe this is the most corrupt president we've had since maybe even worse than Nixon. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on the left.
Oh,
And he
no, not even close, right, Andrew? Right, not even close, right?
Most corrupt.
All right, so that's a bigger claim
By
then
what
now
metric?
that Trump
Look at-
is the most corrupt president of all in history. Okay,
Modern time.
new claim. Josh, you're laughing down there. You want to chime in on that one?
I think it's interesting how like you can try to be like, can we try to find this little bit of common ground, right? So the ask to you, Brian, and like, fine, I'd like to chat with you again some other time. Maybe Sarah can help us reach out, whatever. But like, we're like,
Absolutely
can
not.
you
No,
agree?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
That's fair. Can we agree that the government is corrupt and it sucks?
Absolutely.
And you're like Trump bad. You didn't even just go to that. You just go Trump bad. It's
okay, hold
not
on.
yes government bad. It's
never said that
Trump
the
bad. Let me
Hold
tell
on,
you about the
hold on,
worst
hold on,
Trump
hold on.
of
He
all
did it.
Trumpity Trumps.
Hold on.
No, he
That's
did.
what I was
He
laughing
did.
at.
He did, though.
That's what I was laughing at. We're like, hey, government bad, right? You're like, Orange Man, fucking terrible.
But everybody nodded their heads yes when I said we
I
all
didn't say the
agree.
I didn't say the government wasn't corrupt. In fact, I've said there's corruption on both sides. The only point I'm trying to make here is that I believe, based on some of the facts that I've given you, gentlemen, is that Donald Trump is most likely the most corrupt president, certainly in my lifetime, probably worse than Nixon. I'm not saying it doesn't happen on the left. I'm not saying our government isn't corrupt. I believe Nancy Pelosi was an insider trader. I believe there are people on both sides that have done some really bad things. But this is epic level proportions, people. We're talking about billions of dollars. We're talking about a $5.5 billion resort. Imagine if Hillary Clinton received, when she was Secretary of State, $2.1 billion from the Saudis. People would be losing their shit. Jared Kushner took that from terrorists. It wasn't Mike Pompeo that was being sent over there to the Saudis the last 4 months of Donald Trump's first administration. It was Jared Kushner. And then he comes home with a $2.1 billion check. Guys, that's epic level. We're epic.
And gets Cutter.
And hold on, Josh. So hold on, Fetty. So Josh, that's a whole new claim, right? It's not just to say government bad, president bad, this, that. Now the claim that he's making is that Trump is the most corrupt of all presidents in history. Yeah. So ride in on that claim and defend that or push against it.
So here's my pushback too. Imagine if every moment that you spent of your life mentally masturbating over Trump in whatever capacity of which that is.
Why is it gotta go there?
So you're sitting here, you're like writing this up.
Hold on. Let me say this again. Let me say this one more time. I don't want people talking over each other. You ruin each other's microphones when you do that, and the crowd would actually like to hear you. So stop. Thank you. Josh, back to you, please.
I have this really good Trump joke. I love it when I do this. If I talk about Trump, 9 billion women, they'll let me just grab them by the, you get the idea, right? So there's energy. But like, if you took half that energy, and this isn't a judgment, you're a free man. I love it. Do it. Speak your piece. God bless America. All that. What if you actually had some fucking ideas?
I do.
Or moved towards, no, because here's the thing. So 5% of Americans vote in primaries. And a whole lot of money goes to getting the most crazy, frenzied people to go out and vote for people who will agree with very aggressive plans. And this is where all this money goes. That's the shtick.
Do you
so
listen
as long
to my
as
show?
Everybody's just crying about Orange Man bad, blah, 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 all this other stuff. No, I'm almost done. I'll listen to you. Like, here's the thing. It's this simple. If I say, look, I'm not defending Trump. Can we literally just talk about domestic talent policy? With these H-1B visas, we have fucked over the entire industry that I'm working in. God bless America. Our laws are keeping us at the forefront of AI. But like, why do we still have to talk about this shit? Like later I'm doing a J6 debate. It's 6 years later. Why the fuck can't we just move on?
Okay, so let me respond by asking you a question. Have you ever listened to my full show before? Not clips on YouTube, but my actual full show, 2 hours a day. Have you ever listened to it?
Probably not. I did listen to the full thing with the Myron and whatnot, but yeah, go ahead.
So that wasn't my show. That wasn't about coming up with ideas.
Agreed.
Every single day on my show, and I'm not exaggerating here, you could listen to it. When we talk about immigration, I try to come up with solutions on how we should deal with people that are nonviolent criminals, how we should deal with violent criminals. Every day on my show, if I do talk about gun control, like on this show, even here, I've given you 5 or 6 solutions that I think could work. I've given you solutions when it comes to healthcare. I talk about the type of politicians that I want in office, not politicians that are billionaires or millionaires, but people like us, I assume, that know what it's like at some point in our life to struggle. But I talk about solutions on my show every single day.
Why don't you build bridges?
Tomorrow.
You have a huge
your mic just tapped out for a second, but go ahead. You came back in.
Every day. That's the point I'm trying to make to you on every topic when it comes to what's going on in this country today. I talk about violence. I talk about healthcare. So when you say I'm only attacking Donald Trump, sure, he's the president of the United States. They did that with Obama for 8 years. But I also talk about solutions and what I think Trump should be doing and the mistakes he's making. And I also criticize Democrats, the fact that I think Chuck Schumer's a moron and he should be out of there and get younger, more talented people in office. I talk about Gavin Newsom's issues, and he's got a lot of personal issues. And I talk about other candidates that I think would represent us better. But when you say I don't talk about solutions, yeah, a part of my show is making jokes about Melania Trump because I think she's also a bad person. Sure. I make jokes about Donald Trump.
Have you ever met her?
What's up?
Have you ever met her?
So the idea being, if you don't meet
have you ever met her? It matters. Yeah, because otherwise you only get information in context from other people giving it to you.
I wouldn't want to. So if the idea is that, hold on. If the idea is you have to meet somebody in order to make an assertion about their character, I completely disagree. I've never met Harvey Weinstein. I think we all could agree he's a rapist and a sexual abuser. Okay, I've never met Bill Cosby in person, but I'm sure he's a pretty bad guy. So I don't think you have to personally meet somebody in order to make assertions. Like have you ever met Jeffrey Epstein?
Have you met the left?
I mean,
it's not my claim that you have to meet them. I'm asking if you ever met them to show in context that you only get information from other people. And when everybody hates Trump in your ecosystem, it's not. You do only if you never met them, you only get info from other people, right?
I'm not
right. Is that true?
Hold on. Let me answer that. I'm not getting info from other people. I'm using his own behaviors, his own words. I mentioned to you what he said on the Howard Stern show. I mentioned to you his language about Rob Reiner after Rob Reiner died, after Robert Mueller died. This isn't information that I'm getting from like people on the right when they listen to Jesse Waters and Newsmax. I'm using his exact language. When he tweeted out, when he wanted to get rid of an entire civilization and he tweeted that out, that wasn't me listening to other people. That's Donald Trump's personal account where he said he threatened to get rid of an entire civilization. So with respect, this isn't about, you know what I do every day?
Does that civilization say death to America on the regular?
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Does that civilization say death to America on the regular?
That whole entire civilization? Have you met everybody in that
What does death to America mean? So did our whole civilization say it? Or did our leaders say it?
Let me interrupt for just a second. Pardon me. Josh is making the exit. Josh, did you want to give any final quick thoughts to the panel before you go?
Just Brian, you are so much better than Hunter. That is it's much better to see you here. Thanks for stopping by. It's been great chat.
I'm sorry, what's your name? Josh?
Josh, yeah.
Thank you, Josh. That's very kind of you. And by the way, I appreciate all of you. I have a few more minutes here, but even you, Andrew, I know we got into it, but you've been respectful and I appreciate that.
I'm going to watch your show, the whole thing.
These are the conversations that I enjoy. And all of you have been very respectful. Sarah, you've done a great job. And I've enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would. I'll be honest with you. I heard a few comments. I'll be careful. They're going to be crazy. I don't think anybody on this panel is crazy. I think everybody's been very respectful. And to be honest with you, this is the stuff that I miss. I enjoy this stuff, right? Sometimes when I do my show, I get some lunatics that call me. The stuff I did with the Wilsons was not fun. It was torture, man. It was like having to listen to Justin Bieber 24/7, just torture. Okay. But
Bieber. Shots fired to Justin Bieber.
All right, fine. Kid Rock. Okay? Kid Rock.
There you go.
I'm trying to think who's the most annoying musician of all time. Sanjaya from American Idol. I don't know. But or Lee Greenwood. How many times do I have to listen to that song? But no, I'm being serious in that this is the stuff that I miss, that I enjoy, and I feel like lately we're not getting that. We're not getting that with debates. We're not getting that with shows and with guests and with TV. So, I mean, this is productive to have conversations like this. And you know, I guess that's a compliment to you guys because they're few and far between, unfortunately. Even with political pundits that I debate on a regular basis, they're usually not. I mean, I had debates some Klansman, some guy McGinnis, who's like the VP of the Proud Boys. I debated him on Pierce last week. The guy's a complete clown. I guarantee you, all you guys, and I'll ask it right now, because I think I know the answer I'm going to get. You're not a hostage or a patriot if you beat a cop on January 6th, right? I know we're going back to January 6th, but Andrew, you would agree with that, right? You're not a hostage or a patriot if you beat a cop, right?
In that hypothetical, I guess the only person that died was a protester.
Yeah, but I didn't ask you that. There are police officers that were beaten on January 6th. Okay. I didn't ask you about that because I don't want to go down that road. The only point I'm trying to make is we need to call out political violence.
Careful, you're activating their selective amnesia.
Yeah, I know.
I agree with him. Effigy.
Let me actually because Motor City just got here and Spin just got here, and Brian did say that he was going to leave here in just a few minutes. So at least
we got about 10 more minutes tops. Yeah.
Okay. Motor City, did you have a question?
I just had a couple things I would say. Thank you, Brian, for coming up. Never seen you here. I've enjoyed watching it from down in the chat and everything. I love the debate, the conversation. I have these kind of conversations on different panels. There's a problem with the left and the right, and I don't care who you voted for, red, blue, pink, purple, guy, woman. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. We all criticize our leaders, and that is one thing we have to understand. When you're sitting on the right as of today, and people criticize Trump, it's because he's our president. When you criticize Biden and he's our president, there's probably a reason. But when you throw out little accusations or assumptions or some opinion or things that you've heard through the internet or some friend of a friend or some associate, these are all nonsensical. It hinders the understanding and the communication. And especially when you get the name calling and all this stuff, it dulls the debate. It destroys the conversation. The understanding goes out the window. Yeah. I love the dialogue where we're back and forth, where we can have our misunderstandings and communicate it and walk it through to get to the solution. That's what we're lacking. Now, when somebody sits there and builds a fire, and I'm going to go say about Andrew with the fraud thing. Now, let me say it first, because it's not an attack. I don't care. You have $500 billion in fraud in America every year, annually, over $200 billion in federal fraud. We have fraud. So to build a fire under $10 billion under Minnesota is kind of pointing the finger at something that isn't even the real problem. So you are actually making an issue out of something that isn't the problem, Andrew. When you said that, you put the any solution of the situation on a back burner because you're trying to burn down the 10% or the 2% of the problem.
I brought up the solution. He brought up Kamala. Tim Walz is Kamala's VP. It's
not about that. You got to bring up people, and that's not the problem. The problem is when you were talking about fraud. Trump has 34 to 36 counts of fraud. He's guilty of.
Andrew, it is
Guilty.
Motor City's turn.
He's guilty. I haven't been up here all night. I'm sorry.
I know. Pardon me. Just a moment. I literally gave the floor to Motor City to ask his question. Now, you've been talking all night, Andrew. I love you, but you got to stop, okay? Don't interrupt when somebody's talking.
And I apologize I can't land the plane like I would love to be able to, but we all have to have this understanding and come to the middle ground instead of always fucking, pardon my French, but if you keep throwing barbs at each other, there's no communication and everybody gets frustrated and upset and runs away from the conversation. Nothing gets solved. And that's what we're dealing with in America.
I agree, Motor. I think that's very well said. Unfortunately, again, I bring it back to the top. You know, it starts with the top all the way down, lowering the temperature. I'm a talk show host, right? I try to entertain people. I try to have fun. At the same time, I talk about a lot of serious topics. I'm always willing to talk with people on the other side. It's why I was willing to do this show. And I got to be honest with you, 3 or 4 days ago, I didn't really feel like doing it. I've had a difficult week, but Sarah's been very nice. And I was happy to do it.
Best panel on YouTube, bro.
Thank you. More people on the left need to talk to the right. More people on the right need to talk to the left. I've been saying that for so long. I'm one of the few people, and I don't mean this as like, oh, pat Brian on the back. I'll go into enemy territory, man. I mean, there's not many people on the left that are willing to debate Tim Pool and
I do
Myron
it a
Gaines
lot.
in person, right? I've gone on some of the craziest right-wing shows. This is not one of them. I've enjoyed this. Pierce Morgan's a little different. I do enjoy doing Pierce because it's 2-on-2, and I actually think he does a really good job. But I did OAN the other day. I mean, you couldn't find a more right network than that. So, I agree with you. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. I agree with what you just said. I believe 10 years ago, we were at a much better place than we are now as far as the right and the left having conversations. And perhaps me calling people Trump mushroom gobblers and right-wing buffoons maybe doesn't help the situation any. It's part of my aura. When people call into my show, I kind of mess with them a little bit. But as a whole, of course, in these types of situations, if it's not my show, I'm going to always try to be as respectful, as I can.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Spin, you were up next. Did you have a question for Brian before he gets out of here?
Got about 5 minutes. Yep.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Well, he said 5 minutes. That's going to fly fast. You can waste your time saying, oh my, or you can get to the question.
So if Trump was such a PDF file, why isn't he in jail?
I would answer that question by saying, why have there only been 2 people held to account in the Epstein files? Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell are the only 2 people that have been held to account. So I'll throw it right back at you. Why have there only been 2 people that have been held to account in the Epstein files when we know thousands of people have been molested? Why have only 2 people have been held to account? Why was O.J. Simpson never convicted of murder? I'll throw it right back in your face. Go ahead, sir.
You answer the question.
I'll tell you why. Because it's a huge cover up. There are people on the left and there are people on the right that are in the Epstein files. Those poor, horrible kids that were molested, they didn't get justice. And I don't care whether it's somebody on the left, whether it's Bill Clinton or Donald Trump. I want those people held to justice. You know why? Because in this country, when you have money, you have power. And sometimes when you have power, you get away with horrible things. In this case, molesting children. That's why, sir.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Do you disagree with that?
Trump has been nothing but vindicated in the Epstein files.
Oh my God. Because he told you that he was vindicated, right?
No, it has been said by multiple people.
Because he said it first, and all the mushroom gobblers
on the news next show I watched.
All right. Brian's only got a couple of minutes left. Let's let him go.
He can go.
I think you probably should be done.
I'm done. I'm not going to argue.
Yeah. You probably should be done because that was probably the worst question I ever had, and all you guys have been great. That guy is a Trump mushroom gobbler, with all due respect. I gave him a very honest answer. The Epstein files are a huge cover-up. I didn't blame one side. Now, Donald Trump is trying to do everything he can to not talk about this and not want you to talk about it. But the idea, because a few people claimed he didn't do anything wrong, so he couldn't have done anything wrong, is the most ridiculous explanation I have ever heard. Let me ask anybody on this panel a question. Can anybody give me one reasonable explanation as to why the Trump administration and Trump's former attorney put Ghislaine Maxwell in a Club Med facility with a dog, preferential treatment? We're talking about one of the biggest sex criminals of all time. And then 5 months ago, she said she's not giving up any names unless she gets full immunity and gets a pardon. And what did Donald Trump do? Kept her in the Club Med facility. Can somebody
do you actually want the answer? Do you want the answer?
Go ahead.
He's asking.
Yeah. Yeah, you may dislike it, but I mean, it's because Trump is before and after anything else, Trump's a neoconservative, right? He's still I dislike him too, but he's a politician. And so if you can do something to piss people off and make acceptability, make acceptability around Trump's unique form of nationalism, right? Then what you do is you basically throw cultural pressures off of any reasonable analysis of political and institutional success. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, but I respectfully disagree with you. I'm going to give you my answer, and we can disagree on
Too
this.
deep.
I think the reason why he's treated Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP is because she's going to give up a lot of information that could harm Donald Trump and or his friends. I don't think it has
There's
anything to
nothing.
do.
There's absolutely nothing there. The reality is you can believe in conspiracy, but we don't have an investigation. You have no more reason to say that than people who deny a link between Trump and Epstein.
The reason why he's treating Ghislaine Maxwell like a VIP, in your opinion, is because he's a politician? Is that what I'm getting from you?
Yeah, because it serves other political interests. It goes around other problems that Donald Trump
this entire MAGA
wants to be
base. What are you
solved.
talking about?
Yeah,
Wait,
because when he gives the pardon, he wants to be handed a list of Democrats that he can go like run through courts on just the say-so of the worst sex trafficker in recent
so
history.
you don't think it's possible that the guy that's in the Epstein
Come on,
files
Doug.
over 36,000 times, 3 million more files that we haven't seen, Jeffrey Epstein's former best friend, I think we all could agree, I don't think Epstein committed, ended his own life. And you mean to tell me right now that there's no chance in your mind that he might have done some bad things that we haven't heard about in the Epstein files? There's no chance?
I mean, you're asking me for something which has sorry, I'll be fast. Because I don't have much more here, but you're asking about something that has a non-zero probability against something that has a 100% certainty that Trump benefits the most from lucrative relationships in cryptocurrency, lucrative relationships in nationalizing aspects of oil and gas. And so you're asking about an ambiguity versus a certainty.
Okay. I mean, okay. I don't even know what to say to that other than this.
No collusion.
Hold on. Let me just say this. So Dusk, is that your name? Okay. So here's the reality of the situation. He's already been found liable for sexual abuse in a court. I understand that's not criminal, but a judge characterized it as rape. Okay. 25 women have accused him of such, including his ex-wife, in court documents when she was in a deposition under oath. We're talking about a history of somebody. I'm asked this question all the time. So you take his sexual improprieties with being liable in a court, with all the allegations, with the fact that he just so happened to be best friends with one of the biggest sex traffickers to ever live, with the fact that somehow there's a 1.5-minute video where we don't know who went in and out of Jeffrey Epstein's cell.
Can I stop the soapboxing here? The soapboxing, Brian, is not necessary because you'll have to decouple MAGA voters' perception of Trump 25 times. There is nothing necessary about what you're talking about here. Everyone agrees Trump is a bad person. He's a bad president. He should not be president. That does not change the physical reality of where he sits and what the White House actually is.
I'm not trying to convince MAGA supporters. There are a lot of people on the right that are MAGA supporters. And again, I'm not calling you guys this, but I use the term cult. They can't admit what you just admitted, okay? They can't admit that Trump is a bad guy. They can't admit that there might be a possibility that he did some horrible things to kids, that there might be a possibility of that. And if they can't admit that, and they can't admit that the 2000
more and more, Brian, we've heard this 1,000 times. You're talking over people who already believe in the institution of justice, already believe Trump did something wrong, already believe Trump has committed impeachable offenses. That does not change the direction of the presidency.
Wait a second. You think Cash
it does not change it one bit. There will be zero impact to what you say.
Doc, you made a claim. Let him answer.
I never said that. What I'm simply saying is I do want justice. What I'm also saying is when Trump leaves office, Jack Smith will still have the opportunity to file charges against Donald Trump. Now, it might not be anything to do with the Epstein files. You might be right about that, and there might not be any more accountability. However, new arrests are being made, so I wouldn't make that claim that it can't happen. There's more arrests. There was an arrest made in Britain a few months ago. But what I am saying is there still can be some accountability. It might not be with the Epstein files, but why would the first lady all of a sudden come out and hold a press conference and say, I didn't know them. I didn't know anything. I have friends that are Melania's attorneys are threatening to sue them because they're talking about Melania's ties to the Epsteins. We already have the emails. There are things in there that Melania doesn't want out that are probably going to come out. And there are certainly a lot of things in there that Trump doesn't come out. Now, whether there's going to be any criminal liability or anything, I don't know the answer to that. You might be right. Maybe not. But the fact that Donald Trump,
Brian, we do both know that Epstein's plane was nicknamed Lolita Express. We know that Melania had ties. They had ties with Epstein after Epstein's first conviction. So there's this level of knowing. There's a level of knowingness that's just going to exist. Why is it so sad that this is what Democrats and progressives have to back into? That's the part I am still confused on.
It's not about.
I know I'm being rude, but
no, you're not being rude. I'll answer what you just said. It is the fact that I point out every single day that there are so many Americans in this country that were talking about the Epstein files, and they were talking about Hollywood elitists being pedos. And now all of a sudden they support somebody and continue to support somebody that is a pedophile enabler. Now that's at a minimum. I don't know if he did anything criminal, but according to Marjorie Taylor Greene in an interview, she had a conversation with Trump, and it was one of her last conversations. And she said he doesn't want any more information out because he doesn't want to hurt his friends. What does that mean? I don't want pedophiles to be held to justice. And for all the people out there that still support Donald Trump, that are the diehards, I'm not even talking about people that voted for him in 2024. People right now that still support him, there is no denying this. Donald Trump supports and is enabling pedophiles. So I don't want to hear MAGA Republicans talk about sexual abuse. I don't want to hear MAGA. Now, if you're one of those people, maybe Andrew's one of them, I don't know. But if you're one of those people that says, hey, you know what? I'm really upset. Maybe I shouldn't have voted for Trump. I wouldn't have voted for Kamala either. I still get confused with that. But at least if you're willing to admit that. But you have a percentage of people in this country where Donald Trump could molest a child and they would still support him. That is sick.
I like Kamala. I like. Guess what? I like Kamala. I've been a whatever you call it, a centrist, a center, a progressive voter for my entire life because people shouldn't go without food and water. And so fuck Donald Trump. Fuck everyone who's not Kamala. Fuck everyone who's not Madam President. And fuck the rest. Guess what? That's reality, bitch.
Well, I can't say I necessarily disagree with you, my friend, on that one.
Neil's backstage. Yeah, Neil's backstage. He didn't have the ability to pop up yet because it's a full panel. But he said Tara Reid did not recant. Did you have any thoughts to that, Brian?
Tara Reid never confirmed that she wrote that page in the diary. The diary was in the hands of multiple people on the far right, including a guy by the name of Mr. O'Keefe. She never claimed that she wrote that in there. Even the page, I've had multiple conversations with people that know a lot about this. This is what we know for sure. We don't know whether she wrote it. She's still very supportive of her dad, introduced him at the Democrat National Convention. And what we know for sure is this. She said, if she said it, borderline inappropriate. Here's what we know for sure. Joe Biden's never been proven liable for sexual abuse. Never seen him in any pictures with Jeffrey Epstein. He never paid up a porn star $130,000 hush money payments, okay? And by the way, if we're going to talk about sons and families, let's remember that Beau Biden was a hero who served this country, who died of brain cancer because of going to war. I don't recall Barron ever signing up to go to war. I don't recall Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr. ever deciding to sign up. I don't recall Donald Trump ever serving. So if we're going to talk about families, Beau Biden was a damn hero. He was a hero to this nation, and he died a hero. And I respect Joe Biden, and I respect his wife very much. And I respect Hunter Biden, because you know what Hunter Biden is doing now? While some of these idiots on the right were so angry that Hunter Biden was selling paintings for $50,000, he's helping people with substance abuse right now. I've had private conversations with Hunter Biden. He's helping people.
Neil clarified the diary was Biden's daughter. Tara Reid was a worker, not a daughter.
I'm sorry. I thought he meant Joe Biden's daughter. That's my mistake.
Tara
Reid was the woman who made allegations that Joe Biden sexually abused her. They were never substantiated in any way, shape, or form. She has changed her story a few times about the events of what happened. That's 100%. I apologize. I confused Tara Reid with Joe Biden's daughter. Again, you have one unsubstantiated allegation as opposed to 30 allegations, including his ex-wife in a deposition, and found liable for abuse in a court where the judge characterized it as rape. Again, there's no equivalence there. None, zero. And, you know, I don't even know why we would talk about Joe Biden when it comes to that stuff. But I'm sorry.
When you add the diary to the other allegations, that's when you start seeing a track record.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, again, all I can say is, you know, the daughter stands by her father. None of that was ever substantiated.
Most molested daughters do.
Okay. Well, I'm not
So
going to
we
sit here and say
came
that.
forward and said they testified to the FBI, but we
Yeah.
haven't seen any of those reports, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to
This is
sit
always
here.
just a matter of believing things because you want to.
Let's not drag Brian back into another conversation. He actually has been here over an hour longer than he even said he was going to be here for. So much appreciation there.
Thank
and I
you.
don't want to make you feel obligated to stay
No,
to
I
finish the
appreciate it.
conversation
Listen, I
anymore.
appreciate you having me on. This was actually a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody. One thing I do on my show is I always open up the phone lines for about an hour to an hour and a half every day. Right, left, anybody. I invite anybody to call in to have these kinds of conversations. So you guys are more than welcome to call in anytime. I appreciate the conversation, and I enjoyed this a lot more than having to stand a couple feet away from Rachel Wilson. That was difficult. So I appreciate
the show. And what time are you on?
Yeah. So the name of the show is Pushing the Limits. I'm on 12 to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Tomorrow I have Ron Filipkowski on from Midas Touch. He comes on every week. Warren Smith, who's on the right. I'm going to be debating him on Friday.
Warren again?
What's that?
No more Warren, man. Come on.
It's the last debate. I'm going to give you some inside information. It's the last debate we're ever going to have, and I'm just going to ream him a new one because he lies about me all the time, and I think he's a scumbag. So he's going to be coming on Friday. It's going to be his last appearance on my show. Thursday, I've got Adam Mockler. I'm going to ask him about the Scott Jennings thing. Julie Rosginski, who I believe is a CNN contributor. I think she's great. She's going to be joining me on Tuesday. So, yeah, I hope you guys can join me at PTL Radio Show on YouTube. And on subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Facebook is the Pushing the Limits fan page. And my website's pushingthelimits.live to just get a little, and my email's out there if you guys want to contact me. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Brian. This has been a very extraordinary evening. I think we've got some really great questions out of here. And nobody died. Nobody got yelled at, unless I yelled at you, but that's my job. But like nobody went over and above and too far over in between. So
everybody was respectful, and I appreciate all you guys for that. I really do. That means a lot, especially with the stuff that I've been having to deal with. I haven't really talked about it publicly, but death threats, and you wouldn't believe the shit that I've been dealing with the last couple of days. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me. Okay.
Thank you so much, Brian. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Shout out to Leonard.
All right. Well, that was really fantastic. I want to say thank you to all of our panelists who joined today. Shout out to the Politics Discord server. They were able to get us a few of the first initial panelists who came on from their group because they really wanted to jump in on this and have the conversation. I believe we had Rico. We had the clouds. Was it Whisper Jack, I want to say Whisper Jack, I think. Then we also had, oh my goodness, my names went out the window. And Rico, the Cloud. Oh, my apologies. But wonderful people sent it over. I had a really great time. And thank you as well to my regulars. I knew when I dropped that link, you guys would not fail to make your way up to this show. And we did it slightly different tonight. Instead of going into full gauntlet mode, we just kind of let it kind of ebb and flow after we got our Q&As out and more people kept joining. So thank you to all of you. These were great, wonderful questions, a great time. I'm very, very impressed. You guys didn't you came out, even Duck came out with great things to say. So thank you. You guys are amazing. All right. And I do apologize for not asking any of the donos and super chats. What we'll do is we'll actually shift over to the gauntlet. And then we'll actually go through those questions over there. And we got enough right versus left on the panel that they can all answer to it. They are still in the queue, so we'll do that over there. All right. Initial thoughts. Everybody had a good time?
Yes.
No. Wow, you guys don't sound enthusiastic at all.
Most of us just kind of sat here, so
I enjoyed listening. I think everybody should probably learn from this, even if some of the stuff we don't agree with. I mean, it's part of the progress. It's progress. It's slow.
I could agree that it's progress, but one thing, like even bringing up Tara Reid, and I'm sorry I'm
late to the party. Anybody's free to Google it. You know, she hasn't recanted. She was challenged about citing what her qualifications were. Her ex-neighbor said they agreed with her. Her lawyers agreed with her. Other Biden staffers agreed that she should be heard. There was one thing that was even reaching back a few years. I'm not saying she's Jesus incarnate, but we need to also remember why the Me Too movement was even started, where people in power, especially men, could just say, oh, this didn't happen, and other voices, male, female, or otherwise, could just be swept aside. So I hope it is progress, Motor City. I hope people are Googling it and they're not letting this just simply be swept under the rug with a dismissive answer.
All right, let me interrupt you there. We're going to actually continue this conversation on Trump politics and the left versus right, Epstein, so on and so forth. But we are going to continue it over on the Gauntlet. That is full open panel Gauntlet mode. So if you are watching on the Raging Tomato and you'd like to continue watching with this panel live, we are heading over to the Gauntlet Debate. That's on YouTube, the Gauntlet Debate. Head on over there. I've dropped the link in the chat. Otherwise, go ahead and catch the raid. I'm shutting down the Raging Tomato side now. All righty then. Okay, this was actually good points, Neil. I'm sorry I kicked it over. I do want to get actually to these super chats, if you don't mind, and then we will pick up from there. Hold on, let me get back over to this. I gotta hit buttons. All right, so Tom coverage said this one. We did this one. Calvin, you said this earlier. I didn't feel the need to bring it up at the moment because you were directing it at Rico, actually, who was on panel at the time. Says, is he at least thankful for Obamacare's healthcare reform, such as protections for pre-existing conditions, but for Dems, we would have reforms? Does anybody have a thought in terms of the healthcare planning that we were doing or discussing with Brian earlier?
The ACA never was allowed to even take effect.
Not a full effect.
Not even close.
It saved my mom's life for 11 years.
It helped a lot of people for sure.
I mean, it's kind of disingenuous to say that it didn't turn around costs. Healthcare costs have been rising constantly. What it did was for a few years it slowed the rise, but then as more of the measures, the cost saving measures were stripped out slowly, it just allowed it to go right back again.
Yeah. The part where they couldn't negotiate with prescription drug companies at all, and that didn't cause any kind of a rise.
That's because America has the best healthcare in the world, and it doesn't.
It's actually in almost every metric. It is amongst the worst, but we spend the most.
Right, and we have the biggest pharmaceutical companies that make record profits every quarter.
You bet.
That's the problem with pharma.
And Obama had in there where they couldn't even negotiate for costs of meds.
What's up, Brock?
Just a complete giveaway to Big Pharma.
All right. Then Tom Covered It was keeping me laughing in the chat, by the way. He says, quit speaking of mushrooms negatively or you'll also be Orange Man bad. Yes.
Gobble, gobble.
And Tom Carpenter also sent in 10 Raging Tomato memberships. Thank you so kindly. We appreciate. Or maybe was this on my end or your end, Ben?
I think it usually says which ones.
Oh, yeah, it does. Normally doesn't it? Oh, well, whatever. He sent in 10 memberships and 10 lucky lottery winners got hit with them. And of course, Josh Stacy, who was here earlier, he is also a regular panelist here on the Raging Tomato. Says Brian is way better than Falk Stick Hunter. And I think he actually told Brian that directly. Carpenter Tom says, thanks for all you do, Balderson. We love you.
Thank you so much. All brothers.
Baldy's in the house, and Zippy sent out 5 Dragon Fist TV memberships. Andrew, is definitely worth you being here. Not only you get to interlock with Brian, but also you get paid. You love that, don't you? I love that. Tom says, okay, got to reward the love. Take Mrs. Balderson out to dinner. Mrs. Balderson, we love you. Did you hear that?
Yeah, she has to. My wife has to cook everything from scratch, so she cooks.
That's fair. Janiel says, remember Brian, Fox News magnifies her bigotry. I think this was in regards to Riley Gaines. Calvin also says, were those DEI Secret Service agents at the White House dinner? Janiel says, be respectful of Abed. He's a crippled bigot. Oh, my. Socrates says, Brian was trying an emotional appeal and it failed. Yes, and that's why, I still think it's just bad juju to bring out somebody else's kid no matter what. But if you want to turn it into a fallacy, I definitely would not use like an emotional piece for my opening or closing because it is an emotional appeal, which is a fallacy. But again, even on its nose, like I wouldn't bring up. I could bring up if I had, if my dog died or something, I could bring that up because that's mine to share. But I wouldn't point out anybody else's. Buddha says with a big 5, if he's so honest, ask him what he said to the guy holding an opposing sign at the No Kings event. He sounded really centrist. Does anybody know what this is referring to?
No, but it's just one person holding a sign. It's not the rest of the country.
That's fair. That's fair. Daniel says, thank you for having a big leaguer on your show. Man, we get the big leaguers here all the time. What are you talking about? We've had the highest we've gone is over a channel that had over 800,000 subscribers on it. That's the biggest we've gone. So we talk about big leaguers, man. We've been big league up in this bitch. Real Trump said with the big 5, first time watcher. Welcome, Real Trump. I think he also got in trouble for the caps lock. I think that's coming up soon. Socrates said, will Brian call out Destiny for celebrating Corey Compatore's death at the Butler rally when he said, fuck yeah, swing state voter? All right. Anyone have some thoughts on this one?
I think he's talking about that fireman that got killed, maybe.
That's exactly who he was talking about, was the fireman that got killed.
Oh, when during the
Destiny's hot trash. There's no
Who's
doubt about
Destiny?
Destiny's another debater on the left. Will Brian call out Destiny for celebrating Corey Compatore's death at the Butler rally when he said, fuck yeah, swing state voter?
Yeah, and he doubled down on it like numerous times. He got called out on it. In fact, that's where what's her name, Not So Erudite, she started pushing away from Destiny and moving toward more centrist positions, and Destiny really's gotten wild. And I think his crowd's taken a pretty large hit because of it. That guy that's some hot trash shit right there.
You can't tear down either side for one person's opinion. And even if they put their feet in the cement and hold to that position, be it biased, prejudiced, racist, totally just disgusting, you can't hold everybody to the one person's opinion. And it's not my spot to apologize or put somebody else down on the panel for their problem. Or
I don't think you're Brian, though.
Yeah, well, it's not his destiny. Whoever that is not in. He's not in their head. It's not his opinion.
But he was calling out the right wing people that were also acting fools in this same exact way. So what he was getting at is when somebody who's on the left does it, will you call them out? That's because he had no problem doing it to the right. So will you also do it to the left?
I would if it was in my presence. The person said it.
But Brian, Brian just got done excusing, even though Biden's definitely a creepy fuck, and he just made nothing of it. They like tried excusing the daughter's diary. Fucking the shit in the daughter's diary, wild.
Well,
like
it is all allegation
because of her dad.
Yeah, the alleged shit in the diary, and that's
his daughter's diary.
No, you guys sit here and try to occupy a middle view, but you're sitting there assuming everything that
I can't hear any of you. I can't hear any of you.
They show who they are immediately. So fucking disgusting. Absolutely no morals. It's just whatever their side does is cool, and the other side's trash. Just
But
pathetic.
what about you? What about your morals when you're sitting there calling out the other side when you're ignoring all the things that Brian said?
Oh, I'm totally with that. Trump's trash also.
But no, but the right has staunchly fucking stood next to Trump, even though they know he's a disgusting.
they're all
Motor City. I was only
all
talking
crap,
about the debate tonight, and I called them both out.
What?
And
that's my bad. I didn't see the beginning of it.
Actually, is because when people just put something under the carpet real quick, like, oh, there was one and she recanted. Well, no, there was more than one, and then the primary one didn't recant.
Neil, why were you not up here a lot sooner, sir?
You should have jumped up then.
and he was answering just like Effigy's dumbass. Fucking
You guys.
So you might as well take the dipshit shit coming out of Effigy's mouth as what Brian would have said. Just fucking pathetic. It's okay that Biden does this kind of shit, but when Trump does it, it's bad. Fucking
that's not what I said at all. You didn't even hear what I fucking said.
Period, you fucking loser. It's just fucking gross, period.
Yeah, I'm in the middle, so I'm enjoying this now.
This is fun. All right, let me try to get through some more super chats if you guys don't mind, because I do feel bad that I didn't. Okay, what's been happening lately, by the way, I've been getting so involved in the conversations mentally that I completely forget that the super chats are there. That I don't view that as a bad thing, but I also do want to apologize if I miss them and don't do them in the moment, because I'm just enjoying the conversation in and of itself. It's no slight to any of you. I'm not doing it on purpose. Texas Bully Mom in with the big 5 says, cruising by to say hi and show some love. We love you too, Texas Bully Mom. Woo woo. Everyone say hello to Texas Bully Mom if she's still out there. Calvin says with the big 5, leave Andrew alone. He's just being fair. Poor Andrew. Poor Andrew. What say? Do you want to say anything to Calvin?
Andrew.
No, I was actually trying to be fair, but you see,
Andrew,
even after
like an hour
when Brian, but he was engaging and had a good time and stayed longer, so you're welcome. And not only that, and then I completely stopped speaking, and the guy that's still on the panel and Brian brought me up in their questions, which I wasn't even allowed to respond to. So I don't know what you're mad at me for. I was trying to be fair. I'm the one that brought up mad at the both sides, and you guys still can't do it. And that's what Balderson was saying. You still can't do it. You can't even.
I'll address what I said.
Go ahead.
I'll address what I said.
Sure.
And I addressed that because I had to delay. I had to be quiet and let you guys have your debate back and forth. But I stuck to that one thing that you were trying to point out, the fraud in Minnesota, when you're not pointing out the other 98% of the fraud in America, and you're holding your feet to the fire on the one which is so bad to you, in your opinion, is just awful that the Democrats are allowing $5-10 billion to be frauded out of this government, but there's $500 billion that you're just ignoring.
Can I respond?
It's not an equal rage.
It's the exact point I was trying to say while Balderson was spurging just now.
Can I respond?
Yes.
Actually, that's not at all what happened, because he brought up Kamala. So I think it's completely relevant to bring up Tim Walz, who was her running mate. So I didn't just bring this up. I wasn't just in my feelings about it. I brought up a specific thing relevant to what he said. And you're, again, doing—
That's a whataboutism, bro.
Two things can be true at once. The things you're saying can also be wrong. All fraud can be wrong. But I was talking about this one because it was relevant to what he was saying. Tim Walz was her—
When other people do that, it's a whataboutism.
Yeah, we all do it.
No, that's not whataboutism. Tim Walz was her VP.
Right, but when other people bring up a causational effect, a causational representation, you call it a whataboutism. You did it like 12 times tonight, bro.
Because we're talking about something else. That's the whataboutism.
When you bring up something that's comparatively on the same level, like you just mentioned, right? Mike Walz, that's a comparative representation, right? It's in the same wheelhouse. It's the same fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
Only
you call
if
that
you
a white
address,
whataboutism when the other side does it, is what I'm saying.
because the other side ignores the point where I'm bringing up someone who's involved in
From
the
your
point.
perspective in that moment.
No, they ignore the point. It's been getting called out all night in the chat, and they shift and deflect to another point. That's the whataboutism. If they addressed my point and then switched over, what about this counter?
Right.
That would be different. But to completely ignore what I'm saying and just bring up something else is whataboutism.
And
That's not
Effigy,
whataboutism, though.
and
That's
then they lie out their ass like Effigy just did, because the dumb fucker sat there and said, "Oh, well, we don't know we wrote it in that diary. We don't know what this." He tried defending Biden. He's
It's
so
the same
full of
thing as the
fucking
laptop,
shit. The
right?
left is so fucking
You didn't hear a
pathetic.
word I
All
said
you
after that,
partisan
so
fucks are just gross.
right.
You
Keep
partisan
going.
fucks are pathetic.
Oh, it's so gross.
ruined the
Appeal to
country for
emotion.
the
It's
rest
so
of them.
gross. You didn't hear a
This is
fucking
right.
word I said, so
He's
keep
right.
pretending.
Yeah, I
You
did
didn't
hear
a
the fucking shit
word.
coming out your mouth, you little cunt.
No,
Oh
keep pretending.
my!
You didn't hear a fucking thing I
You know
said.
what?
Yeah, I
I
did.
think
I heard
Ben
you
and
defending
Effigy
Biden.
need to have.
Because you don't give a fuck about those girls
I
that
didn't
were
say a
fucking
thing about
that were
Biden
fine.
after that.
You only care about Trump and when his side does it.
No, I said
This is
notice
part of
how
why
you believe things
your dumb fuck side gets
intrinsically
to
on
get
one
away with
side.
things, and the other side gets to get away with things. Because each of your sides is so fucking gross, and all the fans of the side, they sit there and make up excuses just like you fucking did. You're pathetic.
Sure, and you're pretending that you're not leaning on the right side. It
I don't
is
give
a
a fuck.
it is
No,
a
I
fucking
fucking
show to
Trump
everyone
and
that you
all
do
of
not
them
lean on the
guys
right side.
should be taken out and left on the fucking
You
like,
pretend
White
to be
House
in the
lawn
center.
with a
Your
short rope
language,
and
which
a
is what
tall
I was
tree.
pointing out, always
That's
belies the
exact-
fact that you are on the
Now
right.
you see how you're still full of shit. You see how you're still just completely fucking full of shit. If
No,
you
I'm
don't
just
have,
showing you what I see.
if you don't know, you're a pathetic fuck.
I don't
if you
pretend to be
don't
a
have
centrist. I at
the
least say
other
I'm a liberal.
side
So
to fucking point at, the guy that says that all the people touching little girls should be taken out and fucking hung up.
sure, I'm fine with that too. I
guy's
never
the-
disagreed with that.
guy is the right one. You're dumb fucking ass. Oh, we don't know if it was her that wrote in it. And never mind his daughter
No,
and the fucking
the
maid.
problem is people
and
who
runs
like
around sniffing
completely
little
indelibly
kids.
believe
And he gave a
everything they
fucking-
hear.
and he
That was
gave
the
a fucking
problem.
Speech about all the little kids rubbing his legs at the pool. Fucking guy's sick, but you're okay with it because it's your side.
Yeah,
You're
I keep
pathetic.
straw manning. Oh, it's just
No,
so
I'm not.
gross. You like all the gross things. That's all you're saying. That's just an appeal.
No, it's dudes who fucking cover up for molesters are absolutely pathetic pieces of shit,
Ah,
and that's you.
so I'm
and that's
covering
you.
up for molesters. After everything you've heard me say on these panels, you think I cover up for molesters?
You're the
That's
one who
cute.
just sat there and went on about how fucking Biden standing up.
No,
for Biden.
that's once
Yeah,
again
it's
free,
fucking
completely free
words,
from the
dumb fuck.
context of what I was saying about people just believing shit because it's on their side. You are making that fucking proving that point while you were
His
talking.
daughter-
That's
his
what I was
daughter
pointing
writing
out.
it in her diary, and the little girl that's hanging around there, both of them saying it. That's called the fuck. That that's when you're into police things. That's when you start seeing fucking track records. You start seeing a pattern, and then you see that same guy sniffing little kids all the time, doing all kinds of weird shit. That's called a fucking pattern. But you don't see that pattern because it's not your side's good side, other side bad side. Dumb motherfuckers ruining our country for us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We just ship them in. We ship in those pedos, like we bring them in on boats, unpack the crates, and are like, here, you get one.
No,
you
you
get one.
just vote for them and support them.
Right. Who did you vote for last, buddy?
I didn't vote
Nah.
because I don't vote for people like that. I wouldn't let either of those candidates watch my kids. I wouldn't let them watch my dog. I wouldn't let them hang
Who
out
the
on my.
fuck would let them watch their
farm.
kids? Come on.
Dude, it's the fucking leader of the free world. If you can't trust him to watch your fucking kids, why would you trust him to run the country?
I mean, I'd let Obama watch my kids.
Fuck no. That dude was absolute fucking trash.
Oh, really? He been mentioned in any of this shit that we're talking about?
No, I actually haven't ever heard that he was that type of person. There is other ways to be trash, though. Yeah, I would assume that he probably doesn't touch little kids because never heard that said.
I mean, the only time that Biden's mentioned the Epstein files, it says that he's not even him. That he
But
was.
there is a lot more than
phone.
there is a lot more than the Epstein files. That's just like one little bubble in a whole government full of fucking shit, just like this. Just like when the whole fucking Lincoln thing happened, that they just don't come out that often. They're all over the place. They're all trash. That's how come they get into fucking positions of power. That's why you're only allotted 2 choices to fucking vote for, and neither of them are choices that you should be picking. We have better people in America. You're fucking better than either of the choices we got. There's a reason.
Sure, that's just not how the system works. We got to change the system then.
I agree. Now we're in agreement.
And to Jim Al, who's asking me a question, no, I wouldn't let Joe Biden watch my kids.
Number one, I want to let Uncle Fatty make his exit. He's hungry. He wants to go make dinner. Would you like to say anything to the panel, Fatty?
I'm getting all hangry. Yeah. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Thank you, Fatty. Have a wonderful night. And then also Calvin wanted to actually offer some further oops, sorry, Motor City. I missed you there. Calvin wanted to add something else to his super chat he sent in here, and then I'll get back to the rest.
Yeah, so that I wanted to mention that because Andrew is claiming that he's fair, which we will offer that to him. But when they bring up things about the Donald Trump or whatever, you always claim ignorance, like you're not aware of certain stuff. Yeah. So I think it's kind of convenient when you know everything that's going on the left, but when it comes to the stuff that goes wrong on the right, all of a sudden you just don't know. You're not that studied or learning on that. So from that aspect, I think that I question you when you say you're being a fair and objective person in these exchanges. That was why I brought that up.
Sounds disingenuous to me.
Can I respond to that?
Who's breathing in their microphone?
One quick response, and then I'll move on the supers because we're behind.
Yeah, I legitimately didn't know, and all I said was I have to verify that. I don't understand how that's not fair. I'm willing to admit I didn't know about it. Like, I think that should be something that instead of coming up here and trashing me for, should be admirable. We need more people to admit when they just don't know. So I'm not saying that, and I gave a reason for why I didn't agree with Trump, to be fair. It doesn't mean I have to agree with every single bad thing that you say about him. I can still be fair and make a point and a claim about what I don't agree with.
Is somebody bouncing their mic around? Oh, Rocky, I see you. Never mind.
No, it's not me.
Yeah, it's okay. Iotin says, Brian, do you get vertigo up there on your high horse? Shots fired from the chat. Iotin. I don't think he was necessarily high horsing. I think he was maybe we could say tone police in a sense. I think that was a piece. I wanted to bring that up, but then I wanted to make sure you guys were able to talk too. But I think there was kind of like a tone policing in an aspect, which is very common around these, like the political streets. Like everybody says, well, you said this or you did that. And I think that's a piece that's pretty common. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's the worst thing in the world. It's just something that happens along the way. Zombie with the Big Five says Trump's Doge has 64 people who have been arrested and there are 98 investigations going on. So Doge, I'm guessing, DOJ. I'm sorry. I said Doge. Does anybody have any thoughts to add into Zombie's comment?
Yeah, I brought this up a while ago. Both Obama and Biden's administrations were the only administrations of the past 80 years that had 0 indictments of their officials. Trump basically broke the record for number of officials that was set for Nixon. So it's kind of when people are like, yeah, they're both the same. It's like, well, obviously they're not. One is far, far more criminal.
And what is the problem with holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of who they are?
That's what I thought justice was about.
That's at least what I thought it was about.
No.
Okay.
What are you talking about? That's literally what we were talking about.
You said that Biden and was it Obama? Did you say that didn't indict anybody? Is that what you said?
No, no Biden or Obama officials were indicted and prosecuted. Every presidency has people who end up being on the wrong side of the law, or have people file indictments, or the next administration goes after them. Those two administrations had none that actually were found to be criminally negligible, and that's the only two in the last like 80 years.
That
and
you
Trump
know
has
of.
broken, and Trump has broken the record that was set by Nixon's administration. So we have a metric for corruption
that you know of.
Oh, that we know of.
It's documented. It's documented.
Nobody got caught, you mean?
No, the ones that
considering there's an entire other political spectrum in our politics who
That's
is
a
just like
conspiracy.
chomping at the bit to put the other side in jail for both sides. That kind of helps people get caught doing shit. So I would have to assume that at least if they were doing something, blatant, that somebody would have gotten them from the other side, because that's the way it's worked forever,
in the
right?
Fast and Furious scandal, where 14 people got busted, like that.
Did people go to prison for that? The Fast and Furious scandal that was started by the Bush administration?
Yeah, where 14 people got faulted in that, like that.
But
Yeah,
again, I renew the
Obama
question.
definitely had scandals.
No, I'm not saying he didn't have scandals.
Okay,
And
so why would so then
definitely got charged.
so why in the hell would you even say that because Trump is holding up the law or Trump is actually doing his job,
or Trump is hiring people who keep breaking the law, I think would be more accurate, right?
Yeah.
well, of course the left would believe that. But how
Or
can
that's
how
the actual
could
reality
Trump,
when someone gets
but wait a minute,
convicted
wait a
or
minute,
in-
wait a minute. I'm trying
Is this
not
the
to lose
left-right
my cool.
paradigm? Do you guys know the
But it's
left-right?
going to be very hard,
Yeah.
Sarah, and I apologize ahead of the time.
That's right. Same bird, same arguments.
Same
Yeah.
bird of the
Zombie says, I guarantee if you ask Brian Shapiro about why Nixon is corrupt, he won't have an answer, just like he doesn't with Trump. But see, I think we all, that's why I got everybody to agree that we all believe the government and politicians are corrupt. So it's fair across the board. I think left, right, center, up, down, over and around all agree. Yeah, somebody is 100% breathing into their mic. Stop it. But yeah, I think we all agreed corrupt is corrupt and bad, and that's bad. Real Trump said, I joined today, read the rules on the way, no all caps. I typed partial caps and was admonished. Admonished.
Yeah,
Glad I haven't spent hundreds already. Good for you, I guess. Well, yeah, it says all caps, not all of the sentence. All caps means like when putting words in all capital letters. But even at that, you probably didn't get banned for the night. My amazing, awesome mods, who I will always stand behind, probably just timed you out, gave you a warning, and deleted the message. Now, if you kept doing it,
doesn't it? Doesn't Nightbot do it?
No. Those are my mods at work. They know how I feel about the all. Who the fuck is breathing?
It's not me.
I've been muted. I've been muted.
I feel like somebody's blowing wind into my ear really loudly. Just so you know, it's like so terrible on the sound. But yeah, my mods are doing their work. Fuck you. Tom Carver says, okay, he is clearly a poor judge of character. I did bring this one up on stage and laughed at it. He said, none of us are crazy. We are all crazy here. And yes, as Calvin pointed out, Justin Bieber caught us straight. Poor Justin Bieber. Real Trump said, soon as I came in their chat, I read the rules, no all caps. I typed partial caps. They blocked me immediately. I destroyed the dude for interrupting you. I don't know how to help you, man. Ayatin says, holy virtue signaling Batman. Yeah, that's what I said. I think there's some tone policing. But I think everyone does it, and everyone's pointing fingers, and nobody's going to step down off of that. And that's from both directions. We see that a lot here, unfortunately. Real Trump said he's broken, not just a broken record. Fair enough. Zombie said Shapiro just said the quiet part out loud. He doesn't have anything remotely close to evidence. He just says, well, with all the time he's mentioned you, don't think mentioned you don't think that he couldn't have done something. Question. That's Trump in the Epstein files listed. I think he said 40,000 times in the Epstein files. Anyone have thoughts to that?
Just because he was mentioned 40,000 fucking times in the Epstein.
He's a fucking pedo.
files
Get over it, dude. Get over it.
Does not mean.
Get over it.
Does not mean that.
This is why you're as bad as effigy.
File.
He's just as. This is why you're just as bad.
I'm
You
not
two
that
sides
bad. Come on,
are the
man.
ones that prop. Yeah, you are.
If Biden were in there 40,000
I'll
times, I'd be
I'll
like
give you
that.
that,
Fucking old pedo.
Yeah. Save
Like,
save
dude.
the same energy for your side too, though. Remember that. I always take accountability for what I do and what I say, and I don't throw barbs 100% of the time at the other side and then claim that I'm in the middle.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I say.
I am
don't
in the
say
middle. I hate them
accountability.
both.
All right. Jim says for the Trumps. Oh, Jim's back. Jim was hanging out last night too. Jim says for the Trump supporters, if it turns out that Donald Trump is proven to have done the worst of what he is accused of by the opposition, would that disqualify him for the presidency for you? All right. Where's my MAGA? Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah,
you're not MAGA, but yeah.
100%. If it's true and what Balderson is saying is true, fuck him. Yeah, 100%. If anyone that touches kids, fuck them. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care who it is.
Put him under the jail.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. And then Spin, did you want to answer to it?
My dog's little internet bad.
Fuck him.
What?
Did you want to answer the question?
He did.
You just said fuck him. Okay. All right. Anyone? Neil, I don't know which direction you stand on, sir.
I'm annoyingly in the middle, and I just listened to the rhetoric from both sides, and that's why it came on when I heard the dismissive, oh, Biden, wow, he's so cool. And I'm like, no, that's not how I remember that. And you might recall Brzezinski's or Zygmunt Berinsky, whatever, his daughter interviewed Biden. If you've ever known a woman in your life, while she was given that interview, she wanted to either vomit or stab him in the face when he was asked the questions about whether or not he touched that lady. Now, I love how people go, well, Tara Reid's doing this now and blah, blah, blah is doing this now. It's not an equivalency race here. If she told the truth, people pushed it over. And that's happened before. That's happened in the past of our country. I've earned the right to not vote. I've earned the right to be in the middle. I like listening to other people and like listening to their opinions. Some I agree with, some I don't. But I hope that keeps me more open-minded to actually hear good ideas when the quote other side comes up with them.
Thank you, Neil. Rocky.
I've never voted in my whole life for the left or the right, but I almost voted once for Reagan and once for Ron Paul. And, you know, when Trump first came out, he said America first, fuck the UN and all that shit sounded real good. But it ended up, he fighting for the same small hats. He's doing the same shit. He's fighting for the, you know, he goes over to that place they call his Jerusalem, and it's not even Jerusalem. And he sits there and he humps the wall with his little hat on and shit. And I think the Australian painter was right.
Wow.
I mean, in Rocky's defense, Patton said we should have backed the
Yeah. Patton died like 3 weeks after he said that we fought the wrong enemy.
Yeah.
Okay. The Bolsheviks actually, where we get these so-called small hats, they originated with the Bolsheviks in Russia, They killed 60 million Christians through starvation.
Yeah, we looked this up just like 2 shows ago, and it said not that it's good, but it said between 12 and 20. It said that 60 number is completely out of line. Now,
Oh,
12,
I don't know.
12 to 20, horrifying still. Not trying to take away from that, but supposedly
Yeah,
60,
they always like to use that 6 million, 60 million, 666.
Yeah.
If you're watching over on Uncle Fatty's side, he has left, and I don't want to leave his channel on just in case something bad happens, and I don't want to have to try to get a hold of him to private his stream real fast. So if you're watching on Uncle Fatty's side, please, if you'd like to continue watching, make your way over to The Gauntlet. That is at The Gauntlet Debate. We are up and rocking over here. We got a shit ton of people watching all over the place, both on my side, Ben's side. Andrew just shut down, but we'd love to have you, but you got to head over this way. Thank you. All right, Neil, you had